On today's special episode of Homeworthy, we are heading to the rolling English countryside to explore some of the most enchanting homes in the Cotswolds. First, we step inside a barn transformed into a beautiful cottage filled with rich textures and antiques. Next, a textile designer welcomes us into her storybook home, layered with her signature fabrics and brimming with creativity at every turn. From there, we venture into a secluded countryside escape, where a designer's passion for timeless interiors shines through in character-rich rooms and hidden garden paths. And finally, we step inside a warm family home, lovingly transformed with vintage finds and breathtaking views of the surrounding hills. Together, these homes celebrate the beauty of slow living and the soulful character that makes the Cotswolds so unforgettable. Enjoy!
Hello Homeworthy, my name is Sue Jones and welcome to my barn in the Cotswolds. I can't wait to show you around, so come in.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story. Before today's episode, click the join button below to support all of the storytelling we do on this channel. Our growing community of members help to directly fund more videos so we can capture these extraordinary homes from around the world. So join today to receive early and exclusive access to new Homeworthy videos.
Welcome to my rather eccentric, rather beautiful home in the middle of the Cotswolds, in the middle of nowhere. It's, when I say eccentric, it is an old barn, and it's reached through a colonnade which is mostly made up of Roman pillars, which we're very proud of, and it has this rather enchanting feel to it as you walk towards it. It was very important to us that we didn't spoil the feel of this place, and so we've kept this part of the house very much as it was. We've obviously done a lot of work on the roof, but you can't tell. It's got all the original beams in it, and we just shored it up to make sure that it was safe. It is the main entrance to the house, and so it's used a lot, but from the other side you can't really tell what it looks like. We can walk up towards the house, and here we've got my trusty guard dogs, who are the most useless guard dogs you'll ever find in your life. They just love people, so it's their home too. And we tend to plant, there's a lot of the topiary was here. So a lot of the topiary is more than 30 years old. And we are very protective of it because it's very easy to lose some of these planting. And if you do, you have to start again from scratch. So we look after it very carefully. We've got a lot of a lot of box hedges. And everything seems to grow very well here, even though we're on quite a slope. I always tease my husband and say that it makes a very interesting croquet game on the hill. So this is the entrance to the barn, and this is the first thing that I saw when I was shown around this house, which was about 17 years ago. And I walked in and I was met not by the owner, but by the very old-fashioned housekeeper, who said to me that she'd been showing a lot of people around and there'd been a lot of interest in this building. But she said, "My dear, I am a white witch and I can tell you you're going to live here," which was a little astonishing, as the next day we didn't get the house. Someone else overbid for it. But 6 weeks later, it came back on the market, and we knew we had to have it. We didn't even come back and see it again. And that started 2 years of intense work. Some of the features of this house, as you can see, it's a huge double height in here. It's a classic shape of a Cotswold barn, and it would have been used for keeping cattle, sheep, horses. But we decided that we wanted to live in the whole space and not divide the room up. So we started off with trying to work out what we were going to do with the woodwork. There was no woodwork in here at all. All of this has been put in by us. And here we had a genius carpenter who did this Elizabethan Tudor linen fold frieze for us here, and plus he did the whole floor here. So we then decided that we should plaster each end because it was a little bit too rustic. We wanted to keep some of the woodwork, but not all of it. Every bit of wood you see in here is new. We've put every single door in, every single banister, the gallery up there. This whole panel here is new, as indeed I said, the floor as well. So, and I should mention the back door, which is when we moved here, there was no exit that side, so we had to put all of that in and level out the lawn, so we had a bit of flat space that we could use for entertaining and eating outside, which we do a lot. Here I decided to use some very good quality natural linen from Belgium, which I'm a great fan of. I wanted to keep it neutral, but with a bit of a dramatic effect. So I had specially dyed bullion fringe. We don't close this a great deal, but it does, as it closes the room in a bit. But you know, I didn't want the starkness of not having any fabric here. My husband, I think, got this table from his mother. It's an old Spanish console with a lovely old sort of bowed top, very old, which you can see the dogs sleep underneath. Well, they don't actually, they sleep in my bed, but that's where they hover for most of the day. And then as you walk, we keep the coats here, you know, croquet sticks, lots of sun hats, which go into storage in the winter, and we change them over. And then we get into the main living area, the main part of the barn. We start off with this, what we call an altar table. And I did have originally a tablecloth made for it, a lovely, beautiful Fortuny tablecloth. But we actually threw on this lovely old Turkish kilim with the most beautiful old faded colours. And it looks so good that we left it like that. You'll see quite a dramatic sculpture on top, which we weren't really supposed to have. I sent my husband out to buy actually a dining room table because we felt that we were grown up enough now to have a proper dining room table. And he came back 6 hours later with this bust of St. Eustace, which if you swing to the left, you'll see I still don't have a proper dining room table, but she's become very much part of the scenery here. She's unmovable, very, very heavy indeed. And as I will go on to say, in this room, everything needs to be a bit dramatic because small things just tend to get eaten up here. You need, you know, big statements. Slightly splashy statements, and so everything is slightly oversized. I decided to divide the room into 3, otherwise it was impossible to have a sort of conversation piece here. So the left-hand side is the dining room where we eat, and then I have 2 two sitting areas. The central area is around an ottoman, which is oversized and huge and bowing under the weight of books. We cannot, I almost think it's going to collapse fairly soon. And so we can get quite a lot of people in here, and it's got some wonderful acoustics. Not that I can sing at all, but apparently in the old days they used to have wonderful concerts here because it has a natural acoustic, I don't know what the term is, sound to it. Around this, I've got two very large Howard sofas. They are super comfortable, and they are. You could sleep on them very happily, but they are. I bought them to last for life, and it's a very cosy part of the room, which we lowered the ceiling here and put a gallery in upstairs, so my husband can work up there, and it's a small library, but it just gives this end of the room a little bit less height and a slightly more cosy feel to it. It's still very light because we have this huge window which looks down the valley, which, every opportunity we wanted to make sure we took advantage of the view down the valley, which I'll show you later. Again, I've got more of the same curtains. Again, they don't get closed very often, but it's nice to have them there. I've always done in a room like this, as you can see, my furniture is very neutral, which I love because all the colour comes from the cushions, the books, the paintings, the carpets, the tapestry. Everything adds to it, and you can really see them. So I keep the actual main pieces of furniture fairly neutral. I find it a much more calming way to decorate. I love antiques and old things that I've collected or Alex collected over the years, and they're very much part of this home here. For many years, we've collected them together. But I love very clever modernity. I like very slick bathrooms. I'm very keen on streamlined design. This house actually doesn't look it, but it's actually very high tech. I can't work any of it, but my husband has put hours of work into creating a very high-tech security and heating system, which you can't see, and that was the point of it. So nothing is what it quite seems here. Yeah, this is a very old ottoman, which I had covered about 30 years ago, and they were quite surprised when I did it because actually we are using here the wrong side. The right side is actually a Leliev velvet, but I found that a bit brash. So I used the lovely subtle base, which I think the upholsterers thought I was completely mad. But anyway, I've loved it ever since. On top, there are things that we've been given over the years. I mean, my husband is a great collector. He came back the other day with this piece of beautiful corn, but just because it looks so beautiful. So we've got some lovely old blue and white china. Most of our blue and white china here, except for the eating part, are old pieces. So you can see behind me, these are collected either by us or from Alex's very, very talented mother, who was an interior designer herself. So we're lucky enough to have some of that collection here. And our life would be very empty without books. In fact, we'd be very uncluttered without books, but that's the way it is. So it's going to stay like that. We always buy old Turkish kilims. We've been buying them for years. You have to look after them. They do wear out if you have high traffic on it. But I personally love the designs and I love the colour it gives. And we've got 3 in this room, and they anchor the whole room down together. But they, as I was talking earlier about giving colour and vibrancy to the room without distracting and overtaking the furniture. Oh, this is a very lovely portrait of. You'll have to correct me if I'm wrong, darling. Lady Sydenham, who was the second wife of Sir Francis Drake. Well, this is a bit of a cheat table because I wanted something this size and I didn't have one. So this is actually a cloth, but again, lovely old faded linen, which I adore. And it's got, some things that we've collected over the years. Some lovely old blue and white china, which I believe we bought when we on a trip to Thailand. Some lovely old boxes. Some very sentimental silver pieces. This is a piece that I gave my husband for his 50th birthday with about 50 of his friends and family names engraved on it. And as one does in houses like this, essential porcupine needles, which I bought one day because I just love them. And a lovely old Chinese lamp. I love those faded old Chinese styles that are actually still made the old way in a certain part of China. And having visited it several times, I'm still in absolute awe of the craftsmanship. So it's nice to have a reference which is an old one. So we're going to move to the next part of the room now, which is quite separate, but obviously not that far away. Down here, there is a very small, very pretty chair, which belonged to my husband. I can't really believe he ever sat on it, but it is very darling and very pretty. And he's always had it, so it's a sentimental piece. As I've just been prompted, it's a nursery chair. And then we've got this circular bookcase, which was something my husband always wanted. It moves around, and it would have been either on its own or as a pair in a very grand library, I expect. But we keep some of Alex's favourite pieces in here, and some special books. But it gives some height as well, which is very necessary in a room like this. Then we slowly move into the middle part, which was a bit more complicated for me because it didn't have the focal point of a fireplace. And so I ordered this enormous ottoman, which didn't go down terribly well when I first got it in here. My husband referred to it as a raspberry swimming pool. But fortunately, he got used to it, and it is now groaning with books. It's supposed to supply a bit of extra seating, but nobody can fit on it. So it's just a receptacle for more and more and more books. Again, a lovely old kilim from Turkey, which is lovely and faded. The more faded, the better, as far as I'm concerned. And again, very neutral colours, but I've tried to circle the room so you've got seating on 3 sides. And it's broken up by a rather lovely but very overfilled Carlton House desk, which is a favourite of ours. It would have been probably more normal to have a flat sofa table here, but I rather love this, and it seems to work very well indeed. And we got, again, we mix things up here. This is a Moroccan table with mother of pearl inlay, which I think belonged to my mother-in-law. So that's another sentimental piece. Again, more bits of blue and white china. We collect funny things. So we've got, these wonderful old balls made of bone, which just because they look nice, it has nothing to do, in my view, of their value. It's because they have a purpose. They have a style which I particularly like. Well, there's that expression, isn't there, which is if you leave doors open, people will say to you, "Gosh, were you born in a barn?" My answer to what's it like living in a barn is neither my husband or I particularly like tiny cottages, but we didn't want a huge, enormous house with parts of it that we didn't use properly. So this was an amazing compromise in a way, because we've got this room that is as big as a room you would find in a very large, stately home, probably, but we use it all. This is our main living area. We've got a little snug where we watch TV or read or whatever, and the kitchen, and our own bedroom, bathroom here. But basically, we use this room, and so what I would say about living in a barn is that we are lucky enough to have these large spaces that we really, really use. Living in a barn does have its huge advantages and disadvantages. Our walls are extremely thick, and with that you get masonry bees. The other day we had a huge infestation of ladybirds. I think you call them ladybugs, but and we're quite sentimental about them, but it was a swarm of them. So all sorts of things like that happen in an old house like this. You can't avoid it. We had to work very hard to keep this house warm and to get the right level of heating here. The quirks are you have to be very careful of the roof. It is a very delicate, beautifully constructed piece of architecture, but you have to look after that. And all the tiling is very ancient. We used old stone for everything. So we've tried to keep everything not looking as it did, but I didn't want to lose the charm and the essence of this place, which is very charming and very livable. It's a happy house. Well, I feel like it's a magic house. People come here often in a really bad mood, and they leave with a smile on their face. So I think it has some magic qualities to it. So you mentioned these are called dummy boards, and we call them the sort of William and Mary. I think that's their age, and I think they were used as a sort of deterrent to burglars. I think they were put into a hallway where they didn't obviously have any electric light, and they were supposed to put people off. I'm not sure whether that's just a bit of a myth, but they're highly decorative. They're sort of cut out, and they're very beautifully painted. There's a man and his wife, and they were supposed to be, life size, but you see how short they were in those days. Then in here we've got some lovely console tables. My husband's beloved boat, which that end of the house is extremely dusty because nobody's allowed anywhere near it because it's so fragile. But it sits there, and it's just come back from the Maritime Museum, where it had an extensive repair, and it's one of his favourite things. And as you can see from the table, we've got a column in the middle with Napoleon on the top, which is extremely odd to have in the middle of a dining room table, but the height and scale is perfect. And we've got very tall ochre phalaenopsis, which, they add the bit of drama that is needed. And ochre dining room chairs, which we've had for many, many years. Both of us love hosting, as you call it. We like having people here, and I like to cook, and so we get great pleasure from doing it. My main always priority is that people feel really at home. So we have, an open drinks tray where people can help themselves to what they want. This opening here, which it joins us up to the kitchen. You can't walk through it, but it's a serving area. So it means that I can cook in the kitchen and put everything on here so that people can serve themselves. And so that works extremely well. As far as the table, I tend to use the ochre crock because I love blue and white, and so to be able to use that every day is perfect for me. We tend to sit down for dinner in the evening, even if it's just the two of us, because we quite like the ritual of it. But sometimes, on Sunday, or Monday, I think it was, this table had 10 or 12 people around it. So, and it will extend if we really want it to. And whenever we can, which is not very often, we eat outside, which is nice and convenient there, but the many times I've laid it and had to unlay it, such as the British summer. We have I always use white linen napkins, which I like very much. I don't use too much silver on the table. We've got some obviously silver cutlery, but I don't have lots and lots of silver on the table. And sometimes I make it a bit more themed, certainly at Easter, Christmas, someone's birthday, because I like occasions. I like the drama of it. So I've got a store full of bits and pieces I can bring out if I want to change the look a little bit. Well, you can tell here, we both love portraits. So mostly these are portraits. I've never minded having lots of eyes staring down. They're all highly decorative. I would have to get some expert information to tell you what they all are, but I don't know what they all are. They all have, a sentimental story to us. We love having them around, and I think the scale works very well in here. Up here, these are two very interesting things. These are what they call burses, and I think they came out of Hampton Court, and they were what Henry VIII used to keep money and documents in. We had them restored and hung because they're very, very, very fragile, but they go very well in this sort of environment. Just talking a little bit about the windows here. When this was a barn, it would have just had the top triangle of the windows. There would have been no glass below it. Back in the 60s, they were opened up below to give more light to a room, so that this was a threshing barn. It was for grain, and they would have been air vents. And so what we did was, again, you can see on each of the windows, they are, beautiful shutters, which are certainly made for us here, which we close in the evening. They don't have curtains on, but I can see why you think they look a little bit church-like. I suppose it's because of the slightly Gothic top, but they would have been to let air in, to let the corn dry. No, my husband is a very, very keen chess player. I think he does sometimes online with people all over the world. I wouldn't dream of being as presumptuous enough to play against him, because he has much more experience than I do. But I believe this is an old chessboard that was given to him by his stepfather. So I think it has some very you know, some very good sentimental value. Okay, so this this is a basket full of some of my old collected pieces of fabric from all over the world. I can see there's some old Sazanis there from Turkey. There's some Indian pieces. There's old kilims here. So I tend to keep some of it here. I haven't actually got a use for them at the moment, but I love them. So they're here to remind me of my travels. I have extensively travelled to China and the Far East. I think I've done 44 trips to India, and actually never been on holiday there. It's what one thing I intend to do is have a holiday in India at one stage, because it's an enormously exciting, wonderful country. So I have travelled a lot in China, Vietnam, Indonesia, Burma, and mainland India. And all of those places, without exception, have influenced my love of art, craftsmanship, style. I love the way that the English mix Oriental chinoiserie, China, with much more Western taste. So for me, that is, you know, it is certainly my form of style, and my husband the same. So a lot of the things here we've collected over the years. Okay, I'm going to take you all outside in a minute. Hopefully we'll catch it before it starts raining. But before we do, I wanted to show you the snug. So follow me. Okay, so this is the snug. We opened this up. You couldn't walk into it from the hall when we bought the house. So we opened it up and had the banisters and the steps made. Originally, it would have been where they kept the cattle and maybe horses in the old days when it was actually used as a barn. We use it for, you know, relaxing, watching TV. The dogs love it. It's their favourite room. We had it painted, and none of our painting here is one colour. We had a specialist painter who took many days to get the finish right. And this is sort of reminds me of wonderfully faded Italian Tuscan plaster that is, you know, really softened in the sun. We didn't want it starkly white, and we've actually even painted the ceiling, which actually gives it a much cosier feel. So this room is a very interesting room because we've got this lovely big window which we can open up in the summer right out into the garden. So you're practically outside. We have some books here. Obviously, we wouldn't have a room without books. We've got more paintings, more people, mostly. And my husband's just started collecting some rather lovely old bits of carved stone, which we've started to hang up. Which adds a bit more drama. You can see in the corner there is a lovely old piece of chinoiserie. And then we've got some family pictures. Alex has got a very big family, and I have too. So not all of them are here, but we do change them around from time to time, and make sure that we have pictures, for example, of Alex's mother and stepfather and father, who sadly are no longer alive, my father too. So it's lovely to have them there to keep a memory. Oh, this is Max. This is, as I've said before, my trusted guard dog who wouldn't scare a fly. This is his favourite room in the house because he can see what's going on and who's coming and going. I quite often work in here. if I'm working from home, and I've usually got both dogs with me when I do. I love having the view on the garden, so for me it's perfect. But my osteopath doesn't think the same. He thinks it's dreadful for my back not to have a proper chair, but I'm perfectly happy. Well, these are. This is a lovely old fabric. It's an old Fortuny fabric, which I'm not a great pattern person, but I do admire Fortuny, especially the old designs, very much indeed. I've mixed them with some of our oak cushions. Again, this is an old carpet. We bought this ottoman at a sale, but it's obviously been handmade by somebody in cross stitch, which, you know, I couldn't do, but, you know, I love the colours here. And so with the combination of the pictures, the books, the cushions, you can see again I've got very neutral sofas and blinds, but the colour comes across, you know, in a lovely mellow way, which is what I like. I love most about this house that I truly, it feeds my soul. We feel very privileged to live here. We knew immediately it's where we wanted to live and spend the rest of our lives. Because we don't have children, we didn't have to have endless bedrooms, so it's quite small and contained, and certainly wouldn't suit a large family. So for us, it ticked all of those boxes. It's in the part of the world that I love very much indeed and know very well. And I think it's generally a very happy place. And I think that the beauty of it certainly feeds both of our souls, and keeps us very busy as well. So this is the back of the house. It was as you can probably see, it was a major slope. So we had to dig this out to make it flat. Otherwise we couldn't have used it to eat and entertain out here. So it makes rather a nice enclosed space. It's very green at the moment, but I think it's probably worth looking at one of the best views. If you follow me, I can show you. So this is one of the views down the valley, which is sort of perfect, really. In the winter, you can see a lot more, but it's so green at the moment, you can't see so much through the branches. But it is a spectacular view down into the valley, which is called Macaroni Valley. We eat out here. We have drinks at the front. The morning sun comes out at the front, and this is the lunchtime onwards. Well, we have a lot of natural seeded Alchemilla mollis, which grows up in between the paving stones here and seeds itself. Some of it was here when we bought the house, but this back part has started seeding itself. I've encouraged it to, because I'm extremely fond of Alchemilla, which is a very much part of English gardens in the summer. I've got some in the beds here. We love roses. We've got some lovely Nevada roses here, some alliums, a beech tree. We've got foxgloves, honeysuckle, clematis, and on this side, I think, oh yeah, we've got some lovely white, sort of very pale pink peony roses, which are a great favourite. They're all probably from a very well-known British, I was going to say breeder, but no, grower of roses. He's called David Austin, and he's extremely famous, and he he grows all the best roses in England, and I've got a lovely honeysuckle growing up the side, which will smell fantastic, and a lot more box and rosemary. Well, you're quite lucky today because behind where the camera is actually a rockery, and a rookery, I don't notice it anymore, can be very, very noisy. But they are obviously off somewhere today, and I'm very fond of them. But we have endless wonderful birds here. That being said, we also have a couple of barn owls that live in the walkway, which are beautiful. When I first came here, there were some white doves, which I haven't seen for a while. I'd long for them to come back, but the sparrowhawks may easily get them. But it's a very natural habitat for birds out here. We have it's delightful, and but you have to, when you live with it all the time, you have to remember to properly listen to it. The total part of our garden is actually not very large. It feels bigger because it after the hedge is a wilder part, which we've kept rather like that and very natural. It's full of cow parsley. It had bluebells. It had crocuses. It had snowdrops, and then we mow it back in about the middle of June to have some paths that go through it. But the whole acreage is under 2 acres. But because you can hardly see the wall, it seems to run away into the fields below. So it feels much bigger than it is. But we keep this bit quite well closed because of the dogs. I don't want them running off. So they are pretty safe in here. This is the back of the house, but we can get to the front. These are rather interesting, actually. These steps, we bought a whole lot of salvaged millstones and have used them to make paths and steps here, because they fit in with the whole feel of the house much better. You'll see in the ground we've got quite a lot of them here, and they make a really good basis for the stairs. It's a shame this is not actually, it's about to get trimmed, but this is some pleached limes, which are fantastic cover. It's a very small road, the other side of that. It's a B road. We get more cyclists than we do cars, but it's nice to have that privacy. Nobody can see in from there. At the top here, we've got some fantastic topiary, which is very old. It's been there longer than we have. So it's probably 30 years old. And as I said earlier, we are very careful with it because box can get a blight, a caterpillar blight, and it would be a tragedy to lose all this work. So this is the front of the house that has a smallish terrace, but we use it a lot. We resurfaced it a couple of years ago because the frost gets it from time to time. We've got a very ancient pear tree there. And more box, but this gets the morning sun, so we tend to use it in the mornings. Okay, I'm just going to take you across the lawn here to my guest cottage. So this building was actually just housed the oil tanks and the mowers and that sort of thing, but it was already structurally here and only had 3 walls, so we had to build the front out. But what we've managed to do here is have 2 very comfortable bedrooms with their own bathrooms, and a sitting room in the middle. And it's very nice and quiet. And I'll just take you into the other bedroom because I've got a bed here that I had made about 35 years ago. And it looks, it's fitted in here beautifully. We call this the tower bedroom. And so it's a lovely place to stay. I find my guests rather like having the privacy that they get here. And I make sure that they can make tea and coffee and things like that if they want to. But it's a very, it's a nice, comfortable place to stay, which I can close off if it's not being used. We do have people to stay quite often, especially at this time of year. It's the sort of time of year when the garden's at its best. It's much easier to entertain if you could do a bit of it outside. But throughout the year, I have a full house at Christmas usually. I have family to stay. I have friends who come and stay. And so we really get full use out of it. It's a nice little enclave of its own. It's just across the lawn, so it's not far away, but it means that all of our guests get a bit of privacy as well. It's very quiet, and we can make it very sort of dark, and so people seem to sleep very well here. Homeworthy, it's been so nice to have you here. I'm so pleased you brought the good weather with you, and thank you for letting me show you around my quite eccentric home, as I said in the first place. Thank you for coming.
Hi Homeworthy, I'm Vanessa Arbuthnot. I'd love to show you my home. Come on in.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Hi, I'm Vanessa Arbuthnot. I'm a fabric designer with a mail order business and a shop and showroom. And you're here in my home in the Cotswolds. My husband and I, 40 years ago, left London, and after about 8 years and 4 children later, we found this house, which we're going to show you. But at that point, it was a cow byre. The cows had left, and it was basically just a ruined barn and cow byre. And we spent the last 32 years making it into a home, and still work in progress. But the children are now grown up, and they have children, so that generations are now beginning to enjoy it, which is wonderful for us. My husband's an architect. It was his dream to find a site or something we could renovate, and we ended up here with 4 acres of field with no trees and an empty cow byre. I was slightly horrified at the beginning. Nicholas found it, and so we just took 6 months to make it watertight and comfortable enough to move in, but there was no flooring, well, there were floorboards, but we had no carpets, we had no beds, we slept on mattresses, we had no doors. So it was a leap of faith, put it that way, because we were in quite a comfortable little rented cottage in a nearby village, Sapperton. So I knew Nick would make it amazing, and it was really his vision initially, to be absolutely honest. And then once I could see the shape and the size of the rooms, it was really over to me to work out the colours, the fabrics, and what was our look, what was our what was our sense of aesthetic. That was something we had to discover really, because we were starting from scratch. So here we are in my hall. It's symmetrical, so you enter and it extends to the left and to the right and has 2 staircases that we made, quite steep wooden staircases, and we had the handrails made by a local blacksmith. So they're quite unusual. I really love painted spaces and I love painted floors. I'm not a good one for natural wood, I'm afraid. So I have created this space with all the windows and doors and stairs are all painted a sort of powder blue colour. The floor I've used an Osmo system. It's oil, it's natural with pigment in it, and you don't have to sand it ever again. Museums use it. You just wipe a bit more of colour into it where it's wearing thin, and by the morning it's hardened off. So this floor is now 30 years old and it's still going. So this was the basic colour, was this powder blue, and I've chosen ochre yellow to go with it to really warm up the space. And this is a newish fabric which I created, well, newish, during lockdown from a potato. We went up the top of Scotland to a little cottage when we were allowed to, and I just played with potatoes, and came up with this print. Lovely interplay of negative and positive images, and I've given it a little edge of my pretty maid to pick up on the smoky blue colour. In this room we've got a real mixture of family versus old inherited art and furniture, and then newly made pieces by my children and parents and friends. So going over this side, we've got an absolute mixture here. We've got a sort of playful drawing by Rose. Rose is my artist daughter. There's quite a lot of Rose here. And then we've got a portrait of my husband. At one point he was supposed to pop his clogs with cancer, so we had a painting done and a sculpture done, both of which he doesn't really appreciate. Anyway, he survived, so now we're enjoying them. And he actually had me painted to sort of pay me back down the other end of the room. And down here, we've got a little drawing done by Flora when she was terribly young, when my sister got married, which she must have been about 4 or 5, and she painted my sister in a white dress. I've framed that, I love it. George, in 95, so how old would he be then? Born in 86, so I think he was 9, was he, is that right? Self-portrait, and the children all come up and say Uncle George, they love that. This was a very early screen print of my first cockerel design. And so it goes on, lots of everything, Rose, Flora, does a sort of fun stylized animals. And then over here we've got a huge drawing done by Rose at the Prince's Drawing School, which is just fabulous, I feel. I love it. So it sits there, pride of place. What else have we got? Inherited bits of furniture, brown furniture from my parents. And then the most beautiful Dutch marquetry piece here, which is about the only really special thing we have in the house, and it's full of incredible pottery, and I've layered it actually with other precious things. One of my Flora absolutely loves making all these little ceramic animals. They're all lined up at the top of this, carefully placed in here. They're just beautiful. So they're all filled with that, and then masks that we've made with papier-mâché, etc. So that's full of precious things. She works very well. And another inherited chest. This came from Nick's side of the family. It's full of the camping kit. My husband's a sculptor. He absolutely loves sculpting. We have one of his heads here. And Rose did a bronze of my husband's father from a video, actually, a very old video. So that's quite fun. We still have him in the house. It's quite sort of tactile. It's lovely actually having a sculpture with somebody, because you can almost put your arms around it. I've got this, taken the 2 colours, the smoky blue and the ochre yellow, into these roller blinds, which we make in my business, and we've added in this quite clever pelbit which covers the roll. So you can use roller blinds in living areas, and it's not just utilitarian, behind a kitchen sink, etc. And it just sits there beautifully, and it's not fussy, and it's so easy to up and down and add light and take away light. So I love that. And up this stairwell we have, so we call it the Mugs Gallery. I have some old portraits of my side of the family mixed with some newer portraits and some quite fun pictures of various members of the family. So that's quite fun. There's a picture of me there as a child, a drawing of me in the silver frame in the middle, and on the right a picture of Rose by a friend of mine with a red cardigan on. And we both look so alike there. So this staircase rises up into our bedroom and a spare room, and that staircase rises up into 2 other bedrooms. And off this hall we have a deep freeze room and wine stored. We have a cloakroom, loo in there, a boot room in there. So there's lots of little spaces that we've used. These pictures are all put up, if you like, it's just spontaneously with no measuring, no spirit levels. They actually evolves too. It's not always the same as other paintings come through, but I just see that slightly themed that side with portraits. This is a portrait of me by Rose as well. So this is all portraits really, and we have a few landscapes. But there's a real mixture. I mean, this area here probably gives you the most, it's got the most eclectic mixture here. So we have unframed painting, frame paintings. Here's a really beautiful old oil painting, much more classic, sitting next to this. And then, more modern art. And then this is Nick's old family school where he was born. So it's eclectic, it's not serious, it's fun, it's playful, and I've tried to make sure that most of the children are represented in it. Ned hasn't got anything in here, who's my youngest son, but I must dig something out actually, now I'm thinking about it. There's a real eclectic mix of fabrics here, some mine, this is an embroidered by my mother for our 30th anniversary, Nicholas and Vanessa, 30 years. This is a sort of dotty check, which is quite a new design, again inspired by Rose. This is a shibori fabric, we call it. This is a hand-printed paisley. It's called Life and Eternity. This is our cow parsley, which is one of our best sellers, really. Just sprigs of cow parsley and butterflies. And this chair, I've got a picture of my father sitting in this chair. How old are we all now? I'm 66. So 64 years ago, I got my picture of my father sitting in this chair with my little sister as a baby. So it's just in a plain yellow, but it's a very lovely old arts and crafts chair. So I'm afraid most of the fabrics are mine. Occasionally I was given this by a friend, this little cushion she made for my birthday. I'm sure it's important not to have all my own fabrics. These flowers here aren't from my garden, but I have a florist next to my showroom, and I just spied them and thought they just looked lovely and gentle and natural. So I'm not even sure what it is, but I thought they sit very nicely there. And we always have the door open, and it's an absolutely wonderful thing about the house is that you can just step outside into the garden incredibly easily and sit wherever you want. We have lots of little chairs and benches. But the minute we've got sprigs of cow parsley in all the hedgerows, so this print becomes very kind of has its moment. It's May cow parsley. In fact, it's happened in April this year, but it's growing everywhere here. And then these are ceramics by children. And I kept, this was made by my eldest child, George, when he was about 9, a coil pot. It's broken and stuck together, effectively. This was made by the girls, I think, this little cat. The grandchildren all love it. I think this was cast around a corn on the cob by Rose in a kiln. Got that, and then there's a little papier-mâché dish that we must have made we used to make a lot of translucent papier-mâché, rather lovely against the light. So it's very precious. I think these are the things that make a home, are the paraphernalia of the history of the family, really. It's a build-up of precious objects, and some of them are in there, and some less fragile are there. So in here, we have just an old Belfast sink, and tend to have our family photographs. I don't suppose you really want to be in my loo room, but all round behind you, it's full of family photographs. People come in here and they don't come out very quickly. I think they come out and think, my goodness, how old Vanessa looks now, because this is where my wedding photographs are here. And there's lots of memorable, but we're not brilliant at photographs that stand on things because they all get sort of knocked over, and we haven't got those occasional tables for those things, but this is the place really. And I've got one of my wallpapers in here, which I think it's quite fun to, if you like, decorate up a cloak, you know, a downstairs loo, and make it, give it a character, rather than just painting it off-white, like the rest of this house. It's actually painted a lime white, it's like a putty colour. And I reversed it, so rather than having the colour on the walls downstairs, I got the colour on the woodwork and then the neutral on the walls, to enable the pictures, the fabrics to stand out, and to be the heroes, which I think lots of people do that, but it's quite fun making the stairs the important part of the room really, and letting the colour flow on down like this. When I was trying to decide how to decorate this house, I just went to loads of old magazines and tore out pages of things that I liked the look of, and to try and define my style. And one of the things was somebody who had done this similar idea of painting the windows and the colour, the frames, and having a neutral wall. So it wasn't really completely my inspiration, to be honest. My husband's very, very keen on symmetry and vistas, even inside the house, let alone outside the house. So you enter into the middle of one of the sides of this U-shaped cow byre, enter at the centre of the back. And it's only 1 room thick, this U-shaped cow byre. And so you enter into a hall, and right opposite you is a huge door which takes you straight into the garden. And so you eventually just see a garden ahead of you with 1 room, if you like, which is the hall. And then you turn left, and we live down on the left of the house, which goes on into a kitchen, dining, sitting room. Then beyond that, we have another big sitting room, which I also use as an office. And I have a work table, which is behind me. And then the other side of the house, we have, if you like, 2 little cottages that we've made. One we let to a friend of my daughter's with her children, and the other we use from time to time for resident artists, or we had some Ukrainians, so we have a little 2-bedrooms unit there, which sometimes we expand into because my family is now growing, so we need all the bedrooms when they come. So because it's 1 room thick all the way around, we have to have a staircase for every pair of bedrooms. Even though you can pass through from bedroom to bedroom to bedroom to bedroom, the children got a bit cross about that when they were growing up, and so there are doors that got locked between the bedrooms, but now it's all open and the grandchildren career around. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bedrooms and 3 bathrooms on this side, and on the other side 1, 2, 3, another 4 bedrooms on the other side with little bathrooms, and they've all got staircases. And my mum has a ground floor bedroom we made for her, which we nicknamed the Ritz, just to make her feel like it was a treat. Anyway, it's called the Ritz, which is a ground floor bedroom, and it's really to help Mum not have to climb the stairs. And that's it, really. But the courtyard is like another room because it's It's as if the house has got its arms around the garden in the middle. It's very sheltered, and you can pass through the courtyard to cross from one side of the house to another, so it's like an extended hall. So over the years, the house has continued to evolve, and we've added various spaces depending on the needs, really. We have created studios for my artist daughter up in the top of the barn. Actually, we have a whole series of studios in the drive, which we lend. I don't know, we don't really rent them out, but we have artisans who come every day. We have a leather worker, a weaver, and a painter, and they do things in kind. Like the leather worker decorates for me, and the weaver helped me design some of my rugs. So it's a sort of symbiotic relationship with them, but it's lovely having other beating hearts here. So now we're going to head over into the kitchen, which is also my dining room and a sort of daytime sitting room. So come on, let's go. So here we are in my kitchen, which is also our dining area, and at the other end we have a fireplace and a sitting area. Again, this room grew organically. We never made a fitted kitchen. It developed from, everything started from this cupboard here, which is my father's tool cupboard in his shed. And that's why our kitchen is so high. So it's really hip height, which has been really quite wonderful for working at. So that was the first. And from then I found cupboards in junk shops and repurposed them, got them mended, put a little feature of wood on the top to unite them. I loved glass. I don't like solid cupboards because I can't see what's in there and I forget things. So I just have a few cupboards with glass fronts, and actually behind this room, through this little window, I've got a pantry where I have a dishwasher and I have shelves with all herbs and backup paraphernalia, you know, the coffee, the teas, rice and all that, so I can keep a minimum in this space. This is an Everhot, which is like an Aga, but it's electric, and the handles come up, they're square, and then we had to cut out these little areas of the beam so I can open and close the lid. They're fantastic for ironing. So if you put all your slightly damp washing or bring them off the line overnight on here, it all settles and dries and airs and self-irons in the night. And you can switch, it's got, since I'm going to be selling Everhots now, but it's 2 cookers, and you can shut one side down to be more eco and just cook on what you need at the time. So, what have I got? So I've got all my funny cupboards. I've got a whole lot of ceramics. I've sort of gone into this warm, reddy, earthy colour in this room with this, keeping the smoky blue from the hall coming through. I think it's quite good to keep one colour from another room and bring it through. It sort of unites the room. So here we've got terracottas and smoky blues, and these are a whole lot of very favourite old ceramics. This is one I used to do, design ceramics. This is one of mine, a little jug with a cockerel on it. And this is one I found on Tyree in a Scottish island, a teapot. This is my mother's. She gave me from the Alps. It was a classic alpine pottery in Europe. This lovely jug is made by actually a cameraman for BBC called Jack Garland, and father's a famous potter in the next village, and I bought this jug from him. And I got my little fox there, and I've got eggshells that the children have brought in from outside, and I've actually got a bee here too, buzzy bee, to show them. So they all mean something. And then I've also got a few extra little bits of art that I love. What was that? Dear Mum, Merry Christmas, love, Flora. I have no idea how old that is, but it's very sweet, isn't it? Here I've got a thing about telling me how much I've got to eat more fibre. So that's a little memoir. Then coming down here, We eat off wooden plates. I have no idea why it started. I think again it was one of my kids, so we have a lot of wooden. We eat off wooden platters. So here we have wood. This area here is the dresser. Sort of bridges the two areas, and the dresser is full of memorabilia, of objects that are precious, and we do eat off the plates. They're not valuable, but they're all nostalgic. Some of these were my early pottery, and I did one up there. So those big plates was a design called Out and About. It was really about Italian hilltop town with a little church and a car coming along, and people and those lovely sort of lollipop trees. What are they called? I don't know what they're called now, but anyway, there they are. And ceramics are made by the children. I think this is one of the girls. This one here, 2000, had several breaks. Flora made that with 3 daisies on it. So she must have been she was born in 1990, she must have been 10 when he had that. We have the odd photograph on the dresser. That's George and my grandson Benji. And I have rather a precious photograph of my dad, who died about 15 years ago. Have that there. And again, another family picture of my mum and my sister, which is very special, sitting there. So that's a little family group. My brother is not there. And then really coming around into the sitting area, we have full-on fabrics. So we have little fern, which was the same as the hall fabric, but a much smaller version. And we've got a lovely little stripe here. It's called Simple Ticking. It's nice to have a stripe. This is May Blossom. Sits there. And I think some of these are reflected in the blinds around the room. So there's an interplay of pattern. It's pattern on pattern, which I think you can do as long as you stick to a colour palette. So I've probably got about 3 or 4 colours going on. Terracotta, smoky blue, a grey, and a dark grey, and then a sort of pigeony colour. And I just stick to those, but I can pile patterns on top of each other. And here we've got curtains and more of these roller blinds that work well with these pelmets in these windows. My husband and one of my kids just can't stop reading books, so there's always books everywhere. I probably read a little bit less, just I like a good novel. We use these 2 bookcases either side of the fireplace. You know, it's sort of a purposeful aesthetic, symmetrical, and adds a little bit, you know, it's a great space for books, and also adds a lot of colour. I certainly don't look into deciding what colour books to go in a bookshelf or on the footstool. A book is a book. But some people I know do that. They can think, I think we need a terracotta book on that footstool. But that would be, for me, taking it a bit far, really. So I've got, my daughter Rose loves still life. She always sits and paints here in the kitchen. We've got 100 studios that she could sit in, but she wants to be here in the heart of the kitchen. So her easel's waiting. And we have quite a lot of her still lives here. One above the fireplace in lovely rustic colours, and then another one over there in ochre yellows. Got Kitty Garland, who is Rose's friend across the way, is really, really good at painting owls. I love this owl sitting here. That was Rose painted on Scottish Island. She found a bit of old floorboard in a garage, and she painted that lovely image. I think it's up in Mull or Skye. We've got this is my sister sculpted Rose. Oh, this is Flora when she was little, and then this is Rose done by my sister. She's also an artist. And then the Rose did this of an old man. Well, I don't think he's very old actually, but so they all mean something. I'm being very careful not to break them. This was a wedding present. The picture of the Lake District on this side, and then Nessa and Nicholas 1984 there. And then Flora did these lovely birds for Christmas, and I'd actually left them up. And of course the wood burner is great. In the winter we love it. On the floor in this house were these bricks out, so you can see outside, which we lifted and put outside. So they were sort of blue clay bricks that were on for the cows. Don't forget there were cows here, and cows don't want floorboards. So we found these reclaimed floorboards. So all the floorboards we've put in, every single thing in this house is new. And in this room we've whitened them with lime to make them, it's more Scandinavian the look, and it's light and airy. So no, certainly the wood floors are all new. And we've got an oak floor next door, the sitting room. And all the blue tiles went outside to make the paths, which is quite fun, isn't it? Every chair is different, isn't it? I'm not sure that's great, but that's how it's evolved, really. I have a community room in town next to my shop, which we let out to everybody. We let people use it in the community for free for all sorts of reasons. And I bought 20 of these Italian, I'm afraid they're plastic chairs, but they're so resilient and amazing that I've ended up with a few of them here because they can be inside and outside. And they're also very good for older people they've got handles. Got another one here. Then we've got this sort of more aesthetically smart little, I don't know really what's going on there, but that's rather beautiful, isn't it? And then this I covered for a photo shoot. It's a Marks and Spencer's little office chair. Everybody loves this. The children love whizzing around in it. So that is also quite fun. I'm not very mixy and matchy. I quite like things to be different. And this table is unusually narrow and very long and has two ends. And we had 15 for Easter. That's how many we are now in the family, including my mum. So this is set up for that. And we'll take these wings off again soon and reduce it down. And then we have a couple of watercolours of my mother's there. We go to Wales, to the beach there, and that's us all in a sandcastle there and then on the beach. They're quite precious, really. And we have an indoor-outdoor, so we can eat out there easily or inside here. So it's really lovely having that opportunity to just jump outside without having to take lots of trays and things. We've got a vine that's just coming into leaf, which gives us lots of lovely shade. And on the other side of the kitchen we have our vegetable garden, so we can nip out there and hopefully, as long as everything doesn't die of the drought, because we've had so little rain, we can pick a lettuce leaf and some greens out there. And I've got some chickens. In fact, they're absent at the moment, but I usually keep chickens. This is a sculpture Nick did of his mother, and she sits here watching me in the kitchen. Nick's the youngest of 8 kids, and they ran a prep school. So she was a headmaster's wife, and she did most of the cooking and the mending. So she was always by the cooker. So I have her here in the kitchen with me, and she was a very wise old lady. So for lighting, we haven't gone for any spots or anything, but we've gone for these overhead lamps with diffusers in them, so that you don't get any had bulb light in your eyes. Got 2 of them, but of course we've moved the kitchen around, so luckily we've had extension of this wire, what do you call this stuff? Electrical cord. Because this table was once in the middle, so luckily. So those are 2 lights that light up those areas. I have a little lamp there, and then these 2 really nice, high, solid lights by the fireplace in lampshades made by my company, my business, again in that same print as the hall curtains. It's called Wild Fern. and it reflects the lovely smoky blue of the Stockholm stripe footstool and the cushions. So there's a huge interplay of pattern, which I think works enough. A lot of people have plain sofas and patterned cushions, but here it's just eclectic. 30 years ago, I went to an auction in Cirencester. We needed a big dresser, and this one came up for sale. I had a baby in my backpack and I think 2 others, and my auction card with my number on it. And it came up, and it was missing this drawer. We had to have a drawer made. But I'd measured it, was absolutely perfect. And I sort of came to bid for it, and eventually I had, you know, meant to put up your card with the number, but Ned had put the card down the back of the baby carrier, but I had to get him off and get the card out. And anyway, this eventually I came home and said, I've got the dresser. So I think it's absolutely perfect. And the bottom of it now is just full of children's toys. That's the plates where the toys live. And I think in a big room like this, it's important to have big bits of furniture, right scale for the room, and this is the right scale for this room. You know, a nice big sofa and a nice big table. Otherwise, you end up with lots of space, and I don't think it works that very well, really. We hang out in this room, Nick and I, in the winter and in the summer, but because next door we have our computer and workstation, if you like, and I have a drawing table and my sewing machine and the telly, that room also gets used a lot. And we have another eating area. This loses the sun in the evening. We have another eating area out there where we get the evening sun. But, you know, we don't really need much more than this room, but we do have the backup pantry, which is a lovely old-fashioned word, isn't it? So that takes away quite a lot of the, if you like, the less aesthetic parts of the kitchen, like the microwave and the dishwasher is round there. And extra pots and pans. So I have got that lovely room, and then beside that's my washroom. So I have a washing machine, and I'm really mad about hanging up washing outside. So that's always quite a trek, but I absolutely love hanging the washing out on lines. It's wonderful. I find it very therapeutic and lovely that, you know, it's free, isn't it? Doesn't use up any electricity. I would describe my style or aesthetic as I discovered it 32 years ago, slowly, as simple, rustic, at that time I was hand printing on my own fabric, so it looked hand printed, unsophisticated, I suppose, but I was really interested in the interplay of colours. And that became, colour was as important as the design. So I was mixing my own colours and combining colours together that were hopefully sitting beautifully with the colours and the landscape of this house. I also wanted to keep the rustic idea was really just to keep with the honesty of the building. I was then doing lots of cockerel and hen fabrics, which I've evolved from that moment, but that's where we started with simple stripes, and now I've become more playful with pattern. Welcome into, if you like, my office and Nick's office. I do have an office in Cirencester, but I don't go all the time, so this is a very nice workspace in here. It's integrated into the bookshelf, the computers on the table, and yet more paraphernalia on this fireplace. There's a lovely painting by a friend of mine. It's a vase of flowers turned around 4 times in black and white. And here I am with my 2 daughters, and this is my daughter by a friend. And so it goes on, really. What have I got here? Oh yes, it's a poem by one of them. And this wedding invitation that we did with lino for George and Cleo's wedding. And luckily we put on it, please bring your wellies, because it rained and rained, so that was lucky. And there's a lovely little thing here from Flora, all her little animals that's sitting there. So that's a sort of lovely place, and this is the workspace. This here is a very important part of the house. The drinks cupboard, highly hidden away there. And so we have books. This is mainly Nick's area. He's the bookie, and he's got this all organised, but don't ask me where everything is. I can see the travel books, but that's about it. So this is the sitting room. The children nicknamed it the gastropub when we did it because of the dark walls. In England it became a thing, to dark grey on the walls. So this is known as the gastropub. The children call it that. I don't call it that. And in here we have a secret telly, of course. We definitely aren't purists. We like our telly. We like to shut it away as well. Another wood burner, a more sort of roundy Swedish one. And then fabrics that came out of my artisan collection, which was made by folding and dipping and dyeing fabric in the Japanese style of shibori. So this is the way of creating these patterns. I obviously had to scan them in and make them into screen prints, but this is how they originated. And it's that, and another fabric up there with Roman blinds. And we've got a few bits of brown inherited furniture here with a few photographs on them. And this fabric here is another one. It's called, this is called shibori, and it's another interplay. You look at it and sometimes you see the spiky sort of yellow shape, and then if you look again you can see there's a flower, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 petal flower. It's an interplay between those two shapes, which is quite fun. It depends where you are to what you see. And it's further away I think you see the flower. I have a sewing station. I love having my sewing machine at the ready so I can mend or make. And this is this lovely airy slight space that I can sit and play with designing and cutting potato prints or whatever I want to do. And here I've got this is how that dotty check evolved from something that Rose did for me, and then eventually we formalised it into, we had to make it a bit more uniform, and it became this, and then we had to scale it and colour it. Here we are having a go with different coloured dots. So this is the workspace, and that again falls out into the garden from another angle. Really hot today, isn't it? We've got this wonderful light, which I can move around, but it's fantastic top light in the winter, and just makes the room feel a little bit more modern. I quite like that juxtaposition of an old building, but with a slightly more modern interior. And the windows all Scandinavian triple glazed windows. We started off with French windows. On the other side of the house we've got windows that came from a French La Paire supermarket, sort of French equivalent of, I don't know what we call it now, but B&Q or something in France. And we took our old Volvo over and we filled it with the French windows, but they were only single glazed, so we had to replace them. But across there you can see that we still have French ones going on that side, which is quite fun. This is the oak floor, slightly limed. And then on the sofas, just to protect them from sticky fingers and whippet, I've got rugs from Soulful Woolen Mill in Wales, who I work quite closely with, and they make and weave all our rugs that I sell through my business. And These are their traditional Welsh design, and they're just nice and heavy and sit beautifully on a sofa. And I obviously got them here as well, but they're just protecting the footstool from spills. I think it works. And here we've got a lovely round poof I make through my business for people as extra seat. It's covered in Harris tweed from the Isle of Harris. I'll give you a really quick little potted history of, so I was born in Cumbria, which is up in England, north of England in the Lake District. And my parents were, we lived in an old farmhouse, and my parents were amateur artists. My mother was a dressmaker, a lot of creativity going on. And I went to an amazing school on the banks of Lake Windermere, which is now a museum called Blackwell, an arts and crafts house, with incredible friezes and all sorts of beautiful tiles, and the aesthetic was beautiful, and I think it all subconsciously gave me an appreciation of pattern, I suppose. And following that, I ended up being a nurse in London. I did a nursing degree at one of the big London hospitals, and I ended up in intensive care, working there, and I met Nicholas. And so I was very much embedded in the sciences. And when we left London and had these kids, I started one morning a week going down to Stroud Art College. We were near Stroud then, which is about half an hour west. And I had a morning off a week, and I wanted to do pottery, but it was full. But there was this thing called surface print, surface design. It had spaces, and I ticked the box, not even knowing what it was, just desperate to have my own few hours to breathe in. And I was completely hooked. It was like some electricity. I just felt so excited by it. So I did it for 4 years, no qualification. I didn't want to do any of what was on offer, I just wanted to do it. And I built up a skill set, which eventually when we moved here, and I had all these windows, I was able to print my own fabric on the ping pong table, silk screens, and my mother made the curtains, so we were a bit of a duet, I suppose. Eventually that publicity and I let this house out to other people as a location, and they saw what was going on here, and it was one of the big newspapers and a magazine, Country Living, wanted to do features, and the whole thing launched the business. In the year 2000, I launched it. It grew quite quickly at the beginning, and with a lot of people just coming to me and liking the feel of it, because I hadn't done a sophisticated textile degree, so my fabrics were sort of, if you like, very naive and almost childlike, and they sort of hit the right note with some people. I carried on. I always wanted to do something that wasn't going to damage the environment, so I was always very eager to use organic cotton only to work with. That's always been my big driver, really, is to make sure that I only buy organic cotton, mainly because of all the damage it does to the herbicides and pesticides do to the cotton pickers. I read an awful article and thought I don't want to be part of that. So the ethos has been constant through, and I'm still, I think, to be honest, I don't know any other designer that only uses organic cotton. It's more expensive for a start, but I'd love to know if there are others. And we're also very keen on keeping our carbon footprint low and using very local artisans and upholsterers and cushion makers. So I think we've grown, and we've moved away from this house into the local town, where we have I think, really nice shop and showroom, and people come and visit us there, and all the fabrics are on show. And I think that the fabrics become less image-based, and now we've moved into slightly more subtle shapes and patterns that hopefully have a more sophisticated appeal beyond the chicken, but maybe not. Shall we go outside and have a look at the garden? So here we are walking out into our garden, which is, this area down here is wilder with pallied fruit trees. We have a funny, during lockdown, I think it was, my son and husband built this tree house up here, which is suspended from the trees with cables. And that's a great shady lovely place to go up and sit. And up there I have another funny little eyrie. So this is all wild, and we have a sand pit and a place to sit. And the courtyard, which is like another room really, is quite formal. And we've used box hedging to, I'm afraid some of it's not very happy, but we've used box hedging to make the shapes. Standard privet, and we have a few standard roses, so it's quite a welcoming space, I think. And the lavender, which is now very old, needs completely changing, it's having its last year on each side. It's a late, I think it's called Augustifolia. It's a late flowering lavender, so it's August, September. We have lots of roses and climbers and euphorbia, which is again quite structural and architectural. And we've left all that this year because I know we've got birds nesting in there. Can I see them? There's definitely a big bird's nest in there. And we've got this little cosy corner here where we can eat, which we might have seen from the inside. And the vine, it's just coming into leaf. It's always very late, but it starts casting a much better canopy of shade over the table. So we sit here quite a lot to eat, but it is very hot today, isn't it? But these standard unanimous, I think they're called, or privet, or grow up and give us, again, more shade. And we've got layers and layers of climbers. Here we've got some wisteria, some jasmine, some passion flower, some roses, so there's lots and lots of stuff going on. What I like most about my home here is the light. Every room is lit from both sides because we're this single room to room to room around this courtyard. So we have windows on each side and even on the end here. So I think it's the light. And in the Cotswolds that's quite unusual because a lot of houses are quite old over here in England, very old and very dark. And so here we have a lot of lovely light. I also love the fact that the rooms are able to take quite a lot of colour because of the lightness, and also we're lucky to have quite a good big size rooms. We've created, we were able to define the size of our rooms, and so we can I can use lots and lots of colour. So light and colour, and also I'm absolutely mad about the garden and the birds and the flowers, so I'm just so lucky to be able to walk out with my bowl of cereal in the morning and just listen to the dawn chorus, and watching all the leaves unfurling at the moment is just magical. And then back into the house, into the hall. The planner said that we didn't have room to make another floor in this place, but we did, and it's all quite tight. This is our room. It's a bit like we're in the sort of controlling area here, so I can see all the way down to that bedroom and all the way down to that bedroom from our bed, so we can see who's up, if the doors are open, of course, and we can see what's going on. So this is a really old bed. We cut from MDF, we cut these two ends, just sheets of MDF, and painted them and attached them to our bed base, and it works very well because it's a bit like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. The children can sit here and face us with cushions, and it works well at Christmas, opening our stockings. And this is a new print of mine called Sunflower, which I made out of lino and launched last year. Kind of a jolly, stylised sunflower. This fabric here, which is on my mother's old dressing room, this is my mother's dressing table, chair and table, is called Four Seasons, and each tree represents a different season. Here we've got all the way from my mine nursing degree certificate, I think. So to being a nursing, state registered nurse, to an early lino I did of in Tuscany, making everything into spots and stripes. Mummy did a watercolour of me sitting painting in Wales. Yeah, and photographs. This is my great grandmother's painting. So they're all old friends. This print is called Fruit Garden. It's a wallpaper. It's very sunny and just sort of fits perfectly in this space. And again, my father's artwork now. Dad's 2 paintings of Dad's and Mum's and Flora's. This is a poof that we make through my business, and they're just great for occasional seats, and it works when we're bathing grandchildren. This is an old, lovely bit of old marble. I made some of the tiles in the house, and these tiles, I don't know if it's worth showing you, but here we've got a picture of the 4 children in the central tile. In fact, my mum painted those for me. She came for a day to my course, and I did the surrounding ones, and she did this lovely little little picture of the 4 of them. And then we enter into the grandchildren room, which is quite fun. It's this sort of quite a strong pink, and I haven't got any grandchildren that like pink, but anyway, it's this colour. It was always been this colour. Flora liked this colour, and I put my dolls, collection of dolls, over that bed, and there's a few here. Lots of books and toys, so they squeeze in here, and then their parents sleep through there. So it works quite well. And we've got a couple of occasional beds if we want to swell the numbers. This is another bedroom, quite simple room, and got a great patchwork quilt made from bits and bobs of my fabric. The headboard is made from Up the Garden Path, which is one of my best-selling. It's a sort of take on a Swedish design. A friend of my daughter's was wearing a skirt with something like this on it, and I instantly had to draw it, and I call it Up the Garden Path because of the formality of the design. And this is a design by my husband Nicholas. It's called By the Sea, and it's really one of those lovely, like St Ives. Ooh, wrong way around. Oh, that's the right way around. It's like a St Ives scene where there's lots of little houses and steps going up. And on this side, I think we've got boats and a lighthouse. So that's quite fun, isn't it? This is another quite wonderful bedroom, really, and they have a bathroom in there. So that's one family. George and his children normally have this wing, this bit. And then I'll take you through to what I call Billy's room now, who's 2.5. He sleeps next door to us. So down here, I have another line of bedrooms. This is where normally Billy sleeps, who's 2.5. And this bed here has a new design on it called fine foliage. So it's lots of leaves and ferns that I collected in Cumbria, where we go from time to time, and I pressed them and made that print. I think it's my favourite one at the moment. And this one is called For Love of Rose, and it's got a sort of bohemian couple living in a shepherd's hut. It's just quite fun. And then this is a bit more of the Up the Garden Path. Choosing the colours for these rooms, the children had a choice. I gave them a colour palette that I liked, and then they chose a colour, and this is a Chinese blue by Farrow & Ball. And I'm trying to think who it was. Ned, who had this room, chose this blue. And Flora had the children's room, chose that pink. And then through here, Rose has chose this absolutely wonderful sort of madder red. I can't remember who it's by or what it is, but it's just a sort of gorgeous colour. And she's chosen all these beautiful Indian bits of furniture. So she has this little sideboard, this absolutely lovely pink display cabinet for her precious things, and then they're all classic Indian furniture colours, and then there's that green painted shelving for her clothes. So she lives in London, but she comes to and fro, and this is her room. This bed is probably, I don't know, 60 years old or something. I got it in a junk shop 38 years ago or something. It's still going. So this is just painted lime white like the hall, and the bed head in Wild and Free, in tomato we call it, the colour, is the hero of the room really. So I didn't want it to fight with the colour on the walls. So this is all in what I call tomato and teal. The stripe is Stockholm stripe, little fern, and then Wild and Free. And my husband had that picture in his nursery above the bed of some sort of, I don't know what it is, a sort of fantasy hill village or something. And that was from his home. He's now 73, so it's pretty old. And in here, this bathroom here, I painted the tiles. They tell a little story. Of course, they're all covered up, aren't they? I think it starts with oh, here we are. It says at the beginning, George and Rose, once upon a time, one fine moonlit night, and Flora and Edmund. And there's a story about them going out to sea in a boat, and then the lighthouse flashing. And somebody came to stay recently, and they told me the end tile was upside down, the harbour, and it is. I never noticed it. Hot baths, hot water bottles, and hot soup. No more sea adventures at night. The end. That was where they had their baths when they were little. I think it's because everything was so expensive to make my own fabrics for the windows and own tiles was just really an attempt to save money at the time and to make everything. So it's been nice slowly being able to add in, you know, beautiful bed heads and a few well-made blinds, and I kept the tiles, of course, but the rest of it is some of it's as it was, and some of it has evolved. So come with me and we'll have a look at the art studios. I haven't warned him, so we'll see. And we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 studios. So I just popped outside to our studios, where we have 4 studios with very talented craftspeople who come now, you know, on a daily basis, and had the space to be creative here. And this is Jeremy Bonner, who's a very well-known leather worker in the UK, very skilled, and he's just maybe show you what he's been making, or give you a few words about his work.
This afternoon I've just been cutting out these leaf shapes. I use them as templates for cutting out leather for making these kind of leafy bags.
Wow. And what sort of fruit are they?
This is sloes, particularly.
Sloes. Wow, can you show us how it opens?
Yeah.
Is this a commission, Jeremy?
No, it's just stuff I've just been making lately. So essentially I'm just working from things I see in the hedgerows on my cycle journey into work.
Oh, that's so nice.
So it's sloe berries, bird's eggs, oat galls.
Oh, yes.
So yeah, I'm just making portraits of the trees that I see.
Oh yeah, that's fantastic. So we're all inspired by the nature outside our workshops and home, aren't we?
There's that actually, it's particularly the journey to work.
Oh yes.
You know, it's a 4.5 mile bicycle ride, and it's the things that I see in the morning. It's the brown hares, it's the rabbits, the kites, the merlins, the redstarts, the bramblings.
Gosh, you're so busy looking. I'm surprised you don't crash into the ditch.
But it's all kind of part and parcel of working here, I think. It's part of that joyful experience of working here as well. No, it's true. I've seen more wildlife in those 4.5 miles in the last 8 years than I did for the first 57 years of my life.
Oh, that's really nice.
It's absolutely brilliant, and it's something I look forward to every day. And you know, what a great view from the studio as well. It's absolutely brilliant.
Good. Oh, there we are. You said all the right things. I didn't warn him or pay him. makes a house a home is a really, really interesting question. In fact, Rose, my kid, one of my kids who's the artist, she has recently just done a master's at the Royal College of Art, and she had to do some writing, and it was all about what makes a house a home. So we had to think about this together, and for me, and even more for her, I think it's about what's happening in the house that makes it the home. The activities, the interests, the hobbies. Everyone can puff up cushions and make a really cosy sitting room, but what are you doing in that space, really? So I suppose and what you're doing should be evident. It's not being afraid of having activities out. So the house is being used and enjoyed, and to have artwork on the walls that isn't professional, just things that people have made, and bits of writing and poetry. Maybe, I mean, what Rose likes is slightly chaotic interior, with everything out and books being read, and I'm probably a bit more, let's put things away a bit, but I also love the fact that my sewing machine is ready to sew. I don't have to put it away. My art table is ready to go. My husband has his own drawing area for his work. So I suppose it's what gives the house a beating heart, is really the activities going on inside it. And for me, and helped by Rose looking into that, that's, I think, if that makes any sense, that's how I'd answer that question.
Hey Homeworthy, I'm Tom Cox. Welcome to my home in Devon.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Hey, I'm Tom Cox. I'm one of the co-founders at Ham Interiors, and we're at my house in Devon. I mean, I've always wanted to live somewhere that's kind of tucked away and a bit wild. I was looking for a long time, and it was really difficult to find the right property that kind of ticked all the boxes. I've been going down to Devon as a child for a long time, and we always drove past this part of Devon as kids. We'd always go down to the coast because we're just up on the edge of Exmoor, which is a really beautiful national park, but it's not an obvious destination for a lot of people. For a number of years, I was coming down here with friends, shooting and enjoying the countryside, and eventually I was just desperate for some escapism. You know, we've got a really busy life up at work, and I needed somewhere to kind of decamp for the weekends and kind of recharge the creative batteries. So yeah, started looking. The house came on the market. I came up to the house to see it and fell in love with it. It's a really beautiful house. It's over 400 years old. It's listed, so you can't do too much to it. So you kind of got to, you know, there's limitations to what you can do. And it had lovely bones, like inside you'll see it's got these beautiful screens, and it had a lovely old kitchen and had lots of elements of the house that were just beautiful. And it was one of these projects where I could move into and just slowly, you know, when I had the energy, just nibble through it and sort of create my forever home. To get to the house, you come through this down a lane and into a private farm, and it really looks like there's nothing past the farm, because you get some beautiful old stone buildings, and there's a really kind of rough access track in one corner, and you weave yourself up through that access, and you get onto this kind of farm track which goes, you know, up quite a steep incline up to the top of this valley. And it's amazing. On one side you've got this beautiful kind of gorse bank, it's full of ferns, it's really magical. You see, most times when I'm driving home, you see red deer running across the drive, and you kind of keep going up, and finally you get to the house. And it's a beautiful stone house tucked at the top of this valley. It used to be 2 workers' cottages at one point, and then it was combined. The main house is stone built, and it's got a lovely separate cottage in the garden which is stone built. And the whole house is like on a slope, so there's just loads of lovely sort of pocketed areas where you know, there's great places to have a cup of tea in the morning with different views. There's so many different views to the house, and it's all on a slope. So by the time you get to the back of the house, you've got these amazing views down to the valley. Welcome to my office, and I guess it's a bit of a chill out room for me and my fiance. We spend a lot of time up here. I work from home a day a week, so really I created this space to create like a calm environment, fill it with all of the stuff that I've collected that I love and that I find inspirational. And yeah, it's really a bit of a creative chamber for me. You know, I try and work from home on a Friday. I work on projects that require a lot of creativity, so it's quite nice to have a break from the, you know, from the chaos of the office sometimes and come here. So yeah, so when I bought the house, the people lived here for a long time. This was a little bit of an art studio. You know, its form was there. It had wooden floors, and it was a different colour. So I sort of recarpeted it, repainted the space. I really wanted it to feel quite light and kind of quite natural. So the paint is Farrow & Ball setting plaster, which is a really, really lovely colour we work a lot with, and it just creates a really nice natural canvas. I mean, what you're seeing in this room is really a representation of me and my personality. You know, you got skateboards here, which, you know, when I was younger, I loved skating. They played a big part in my childhood, and obviously now I'm a dad and I'm a bit older, I don't get on the skateboards anymore, so I just kind of look at them as art form. I sometimes get the longboard out when we go down to the coast. You know, when I've got free time down here, I love fly fishing. We're really lucky where we are in Exmoor. We've got some amazing rivers where you can go out in the evening and fly fish or go out for the day. So I've got some of my rods, some of my nets, my fishing kit. I love collecting like fish-related kind of objects and art. This is a trophy of a salmon caught on the River Dee in Scotland, which I bought a long time ago. Got some fish-related little brass things here. And again, like all the books, like sporting lodges, I love taking inspiration from kind of old hunting lodges and the decoration of them. There's some cool stuff. There's other books here. A place that I go to when I'm up in Scotland occasionally. There's a hotel called the Fife Arms near an estate that I stay at. And yeah, it's a bit of fun. It's full of crazy artwork, and it's a great place to visit, quite inspirational. There's kind of more old fish trophies, cool painting of a trout that I bought. These are just antlers that I've collected over the years. A couple of case salmon. Come around here, my fishing vest, my waders to keep them dry. Keep a couple of flies on my lampshade here. But really for me, like, there's loads of books and inspirational things for me to look at in here. I usually sit on this desk, work here. I love having like a clear space where I can look at reference books and kind of get inspired, and another place where I work. He's cool. This guy's an old gentleman that I bought off of a friend of mine who wanted to sell it. Up on this wall, I mean, I've put a lot of art on the vaults of the ceiling here, which is quite tricky because obviously, one, it's a hazard if it falls off, but it's all very safe. So, you know, no one worry. These pictures here are from my travels up in Scotland to different estates that I've been to. There's a little picture of my little boy Wolfie wearing an engagement ring around his neck when I proposed to my other half up in Scotland. And they're just great memories of places that have truly inspired me and that are very close to my heart. Again, like the furniture's kind of a mix. This is an outdoor director's chair by Snow Peak. I love Snow Peak stuff, but it's just quite cool. I like having, I use a lot of kind of outdoorsy stuff inside. That's my fly fishing box, which is full of stuff I grab when I go fishing. I put a bed up here, not because I nap when I'm working. I don't have time, sadly. I wish I did. But sometimes we have friends stay. Their kids love staying up here because it's just kind of quite magical for them, and I think they love it. And our friends stay downstairs. My fiance's very close to giving birth to another boy soon, and I know that she likes to get away from the chaos of the main house and have a little afternoon nap up here. So it's good to see it's getting used and I'm not here. And this is I had a pair of these that I bought ages ago that I had repainted in Farrow & Ball, I think Charlotte's Locks. They're like old French beds. I love them. And yeah, I've kind of hung on to loads of stuff like that and just incorporated it into the rooms that I've created. I mean, looking at the art, I mean, it's so diverse. I mean, some of it's, this guy's an American artist, Eric Stefanski's really cool. This is painted locally. We've got some cool dogs on this side. I love collecting dog portraits. That's from a British artist called Pearl. These are old portraits of dogs. And a few other things that I've just picked up on my travels just because they've connected with me. This was painted by an artist and a friend of mine and given to me as a present. It's an interesting little place to hang out. It's a fantastic, fantastic space to work. The dogs come up here. Boo goes in that bed. Is she gone now? Boo, she's on that sofa there. Boo's having a little nap. She has got a bed, but she loves it up here, don't you, Boo? Eh? Boo's an old girl now, but she's doing good. She's in a retirement home up in the valley. But yeah, it's great. It's just being home. Love it. There's a cool little, I love these. I picked these up from online from a dealer, which have got different trout painted on them. And they're really cute. I fill them with all sorts of stuff. I've got like a little sticker drawer. We're quite like, I've always been obsessed with stickers. I love them. Maybe it's just from my skating drawers. Don't look in that drawer. It's so messy. We'll close that. But yeah, these are some stickers that we send out to like Studio Ham clients, and yeah, I've always got some cool stickers. As you can see, my laptop's always covered in them. But yeah, it's a bit of fun. The starlight layering and creating all these different fabrics and the stripes and you know, some of these, I guess, more like tray blanket designs that I've got. I mean, for me, like I always keep the whole kind of palette quite muted. So, you know, for example, nothing's, you know, the canvas of the room for a start has got some nice colour. You know, we've got this green carpet, but it's all very kind of grounded. And then you can be really playful. Like, you know, this is one of our ticking sofas that we make at Ham, and we love black ticking because it's kind of reminiscent of like it's an old sort of antique covering. And again, like chucking some green corduroy, it's really simple. And then you can kind of really mix in stripes, some kind of bolder patterns in with it, and it, you know, for me it always works. Rugs are a great thing, quite muted, not back. They add layers to it. But yeah, I think for me it's you know, the skill set is getting that kind of grounding of colour and materiality, whether it's, you know, like a nice kind of reclaimed wood, you know, old antiques, and then just building on it. And I think for me, like the stripes always work, pops of colour always work. You know, having the pop of orange is cool. It adds something kind of, it adds interest into the room. So, you know, I guess it's just something that I've learned over time, and it works. I've got two of my dear friends own an amazing company called Jamb, and this is one of their lights. I've had it for a long time. I've moved it from house to house. I probably need to replace some of the glass because I think as it's been moved so many times. But yeah, architectural lighting, I mean, they do amazing stuff. And again, it just adds, you know, it adds that lovely layer and detail. And, you know, it's kind of right for these types of spaces. It's eclectic, it's cool. So yeah, and then the rest of the lighting, you know, I picked this stuff up at, you know, I'm out a lot in my spare time going to antique places and reclamation yards and constantly buying. So I see stuff that I love. I love these standard lamps with a little table on because I just think they're so cool. I don't think we see enough of them. But I always sit there with my cup of tea, put a candle on it. I love old tea caddies because, again, they're kind of, you know, there's something that, you know, they were for storing tea, but they're so decorative. I mean, this is a slightly more modern one, but I've got lots of old tea caddies kicking around. I think that's what you call them anyway. Yeah, my career path has, you know, I've always been a creative, but my sort of early career, I kind of did some other stuff, worked in different types of businesses, not necessarily as creative. Maybe some of what I was doing was creative, but in a different sense, maybe like in a more business sense. We grew up around cool stuff, and, you know, mum and dad are really talented designers. You know, they were always buying antiques. You know, you kind of just get it ingrained in you a little bit. And there was an opportunity when I'd sort of finished a job that I'd been working on to go and work with mum and dad. They've been doing it a long time. We decided to start a new company called Ham back in 2010 together, which my sister joined shortly after. And yeah, like, we've always loved, you know, creative projects for lovely people, a lot of the time for families, and that was really what we set out to do with Ham. And as we've, continued to grow the brand and the business, we've done some really cool stuff. The business is quite big now. It's, we've got an architecture side, we do interior architecture, we do interior decoration. We've got a small build team where we take certain projects on with, but a lot of the time on some of the bigger projects, we're working with other contractors and sometimes other architects. We've got a fantastic team, really talented, and we've also got a store that I run with my sister called Studio Ham, which sells all the stuff that we love to people, to sort of retail clients, and also to the trade. We support other designers, and we've got a range of furniture. It's a lot of fun, and it's really, both businesses are a massive creative outlet. We're working on projects all over the UK, some in Europe. We're now working in America, which is really exciting, and are continuing to do so. And the Studio Ham side's amazing because we get to do stuff that we really love and show people, and it's just amazing to see people buying into that and really loving it and seeing it in projects. Welcome to our guest room. This is where we let our guests stay when they come and visit the cottage. This is directly below my office. Originally, when I built this room, it was when I lived here on my own. I wanted to create kind of a little escape from the house where I could hang out and had a big enough bath in, because I'm 6'5", so one of my dreams was to have a bath where that I could actually enjoy and fit in easily. So I created this little guest suite. It's really cool. It's super cozy. I've gone for some like earthy reds in here. A painting that one of my friends did of an elk antler. I had some reclaimed wood that I found in the garage of the house, in one of the barns, and I had a quite a cool little shape cut out for this really lovely wall light. This kind of shape is like reminiscent throughout a lot of the design in here. Like even on the headboard, we do this like step detail. It's just an interesting shape that I like. I've seen it on a lot of trade blankets and on a lot of textiles that we love. So yeah, and again, this room's got a bit of a theme that's a bit outdoorsy. Got a cool old tin trade sign of a salmon, some sort of trade blanket inspired fabric on the headboard. The valance is just corduroy, which we do a lot of, and the cushions are corduroy with just like a buff linen piping on them, which is cool, like a corded piping. These tables I've had for ages. They've actually been in our family for ages, and they needed to go to good homes, so I grabbed them, and they got cool little ram's heads, which is lovely because this house is in the middle of a very old and beautiful sheep farm. So that was a bit of fun. There's a lovely bathroom here, which I created these divisions. I've been doing these cross details on joinery for a long time and love it. It's kind of inspired by the American barn. Got a lovely guest bathroom with a really cool bath. One of our vanities that we sell through the business called the X Vanity. One of our mirrors, and these are jamb lights from my friends, which are really cool. Visual comfort star pendant. We use a lot of these, which I love. These are our ham handles that we make, which we put into a lot of projects. And yeah, I love bluestone. I spent a lot of time in Belgium, and I just love the canvas it gives you. It's really honest. It's very kind of pared back, and it's a great material. It's just got a certain look that I love. So the floors from is hand cut over in Belgium and brought over. The tiles are like a Zillige tile, and I chose this trim. I hadn't done it before. I just love the kind of little detail of it. It kind of reminded me of a bit kind of westerny, bit of just an interesting detail. But again, like a lot of people do the Zillige in just square on square, I did it in brick format to make it a bit more traditional. But yeah, I love how it's turned out. We do these little handles on showers, which are really cool. These little fists, something a bit different. Waterworks sanitary ware. This, I've got like a thing about towel radiators in bathrooms, so I always try and do something a bit different. The plumber nearly killed me on this one, but he had to make this off-site in his garage out of copper, which is cool with like really industrial fittings. I love like traditional toilets, so we've kind of got a really, it's a modern kind of system, but with more of a traditional base. And these are all made in England. And yeah, it was just me having some fun and doing what I love. And yeah, there's if you come in here. I built the bath in with a nice cross detail to match the doors. Lots of Arabescato marble, which I love. A really cool shelf made out of it as well. A painting that I had commissioned for here by one of our artists of an eagle. And again, love having flowers and plants at home. And it just gives it a, softens everything. So like my style, my personal style and the style for this house is very eclectic. I mean, it's full of stuff that really I love, and I guess given the location where we are, I mean, I've spent a long time travelling to beautiful areas, and I've always been drawn to kind of the outdoors, whether it's going up to Scotland and spending time on beautiful estates, being in the mountains in America, all over the place, Norway, and kind of over time I've collected a lot of stuff and inspiration on my travels that have kind of brought me back to those places. So that's really influenced my own style for the house, and kind of, how I've collected over the years has always kind of been how I wanted to live, but I never really had the right house to show that collection in. It's very, very eclectic. There's loads of artwork that I've collected over the years. I mean, I work, from a business point of view, I'm really lucky. I work with some great artists. So, you'll see some of their art in here. I'm also constantly buying and collecting. I mean, the room that we're in now, the ceilings are covered in art because I've just run out of wall space. Colour palette for the house, the materiality is really drawn from kind of quite a natural palette. It really brings the outside in. And the style for this house is, I guess I wanted to create a form of escapism, something that really kind of is all-consuming when you're in it. And that really is a layered build-up of, natural materials, a certain colour palette, antiques. I mean, you're sitting here with quite eclectic stuff. We've got like a corduroy sofa, some kind of trade-style cushions, pops of colour. You can't see it here, but I've got like a waxed khaki camo footstool. The majority of it is designed to kind of bring the outside in, and even with all the artefacts, whether they're sort of antlers that have been found locally or fishing trophies and other items, it really kind of adds a story. And yeah, when I come back here, it's amazing because I just adore everything I'm surrounded by, and it really inspires me. And yeah, I think it's really important when you're making homes for people, or even for yourself, that you surround yourself with stuff that makes you happy, that you connect with. It's interesting, it's layered, and not necessarily trendy. It's just stuff that I love, and it's quite classic. And yeah, that's my kind of go-to. Yeah, well, welcome to like one of the outdoor areas we use a lot. This sort of shed here is a kind of outdoor kitchen, wood store, and a little area we make pizzas up here. We've got a wood-fired little tub that we put on some evenings, and it's beautiful out here. It's a really dark sky where we are near Exmoor, so it's an amazing place to be. So we use this garden room to hang out in. We have little date nights up here. We bring Wolfie up here for pizza. It's a great space. It's one of those spaces that we reimagined. It was an old, quite dilapidated shed. So, we put a cool terracotta floor in that we had custom made, weatherboarded it all inside. Put this like open joinery in, which I designed, which is in lime doke, like a really nice natural material. Had our brass worker make a sink for it, which was quite good fun. So this was all handmade for this project in England. Really cool waterworks tap with a really nice kind of aged copper handle, which is just like getting really nice and gnarly. It's kind of aging really nicely. But yeah, it's a gorgeous space, and it's just another cool little place to come and hang out. I sometimes come up here, put the radio on, cook a bit of food, and then Jarrah comes up and joins me. But yeah, it's a great corner. Got a cool another fish, our studio ham salmon bottle opener, which is good fun. This is like a cool old bar I bought a long time ago. And if we've got lots of friends, we'll kind of move this planter and put, lovely sharing plates out, and, we'll cook pizza, and we'll use this to make the pizza. The wood-fired tub's amazing. Since we've had the little one, we don't get to use it as much, but we will start using it more. But it's just lovely. It's one of those things, it's like, it's slow. You've got to put the wood in it, you've got to get it warm, and it's just like a really nice it's the type of stuff that I love doing at home, because my work life is so fast paced. When you're here, you've got time to do stuff like that, and it just makes the whole place magical. Axe for chopping a bit of wood if we need it for the hot tub. Some nice herbs in there, got some thyme and chives and stuff, which we use for cooking. When I moved into the house, everything was on a massive gradient. We didn't have anywhere to kind of chill, so built this massive sun lounger, and the whole property is south facing, so you get amazing sun all day. And we hang out up here. Wolfie comes up and plays on this, our little boy, and it's just a great family space. You can see all his tractors over there. This is his little pirate flag. It's Wolfie's little camp now, which is a bit of fun that I got him. So yeah, and got a little Yeti we fill up with cold drinks for the day, and also that's a really cool outdoor fire which gets going. So it's a wicked space to hang out like on a lovely evening. I built all this, so it's hard because everything's on a slope, but I just wanted to build a platform that was flat. It was an old veg bed. So yeah, it worked out really, really well. We filled it with like a natural hoggin, which is a really nice natural material. So it's like a gravel, but it compacts. I had designed all of these handrails with live bark edge, with a nice cross detail, because I love it. And it turned out amazing. It's cool. It kind of feels like it's been here forever. Veg gardens kind of gone in this year. Jeremiah, the halves, put this in, and we always do lettuces and stuff every year, and it's just great to be able to come up to the garden and grab some food when you need it. The lady I bought the house off had been here for a long time. The gardens are just like insane. I've obviously done stuff to them, but really I've kind of become a custodian for what she left, and I've really taken care to make sure that I look after everything. She was here for 20-30 years, and she was obsessed with planting. So I'm really, really lucky to have kind of, one of the things that drew me to the property was like the mature gardens and the setting. So I was super lucky. And yeah, so it takes a lot of looking after, but it's just amazing. It's beautiful. And if you kind of come from where I'm stood now and look out, you'll get an idea at some of the views of the house. It's really, really special. This is a really lovely area where we just put towels down and sunbathe. It's got a completely different view, but it's got these amazing mature flower beds and old stone building, and it's just a really lovely, again, it's just an amazing sun trap. We sometimes put a dining table up here in the summer, so we've got 2 places to eat. But yeah, and it's all next to this whole rewilded area. Like the farm we live on is beautiful, and the guys that own the farm just do such a beautiful job with they've left a lot of the land to just rewild, but they've also they've got this amazing sheep farm, and it's amazing the way they operate the whole thing. So it's great to be just sat up in the middle of it. It's really cool. Like another stepped area to the garden that's just like full of amazing plants. Like all these wild daisies are out at the minute, and yeah, it's full of life here. There's bees everywhere. There's owls. There's deer. It's just magical. There's kingfishers, because from the top field, when it rains, there's a stream that runs through and fills up a pond and then goes down to the rest of the valley. And when it's raining, the whole valley is just rushing with water. You can hear it. It's so amazing. It's almost like the type of thing you pay to have on your podcast. You've just got it. You open your window, and there's kingfishers, and we've had baby ducklings in there, and yeah, it's really beautiful. It's a wild part of the world. This, well, I call it's Wolfie's world now, and it's so cool to have kids, because you start to see the world through them, and it's so exciting. And his first words were deer, because he saw the deer, and I've been saying, look at the deer, Wolfie. We see him in the morning, and he says baba for the sheep, and moo-moos, and nay-nays. It's all everything. He wakes up in the morning. I hear him when I wake up in the morning. His first words are, he calls the dogs go-go, well, go-go and boo, And he just says, dear, dear, dear. And like, I just imagine he's in this amazing little world. And, you know, it's so cool to see. So yeah, I think he's in heaven, and he's outside the whole time. Even if it's raining, he's got these cool little Patagonia overalls and waterproofs. We just put him in them, and yeah, he loves it. So it's magical for everyone, really. There's a lovely stream that fills this pond up, that then when there's rainwater goes down off of the edge, and it goes down to the stream. It's an amazing sound. So I spend quite a lot of time down here. I've got a little wood-fired sauna, a little tank that I fill up with cold water, which is great. I've been doing it for years. I've always loved cold water. I've been, every time I've been up to Scotland in the winter, we've always done it. So it's quite cool. It's a reset. I mean, everyone's doing it now, but I just generally love it. You're right in nature here. It resets you from a stressful week. But yeah, it's lovely. And this is where I walk the dogs. And it's a great time to just think, to sort of decompress a bit after work. This is Boo and Margot. Boo's getting a bit old now, but Margot's quite young and she's quite fast. But yeah, there's always deer around everywhere, which is really nice. And the wildlife and the bird song here is amazing. This is like the front of the house. It's really beautiful. Like, it's old. You see all the stonework. It's got some amazing plants growing up it, and yeah, it's just amazing. The flowers on this at certain times of year are just incredible. So yeah, the wisteria is amazing. It's really cool. And yeah, we spend a lot of time. This is like near the kitchen. This is a little area. We have little if it's nice weather and we don't want to go up the top, we lay the table here, we hang out. It's gorgeous. You get the sun here in the evening. You're looking up the valley, and yeah, it's heaven. Bit of classical FM on, and yeah, it's gorgeous. Some of the stuff that we're going to get into working in America is this kind of like escapism design, I guess, which what I call it. And it's that working in amazing houses where you can create a narrative and create like an incredible experience from the minute you walk in. And as a company, one of our skill sets is to touch the whole project, and we've got so many cool, our supply chain's quite unique in a sense that we've got like in-house artists, so we can create art for it. We buy so many beautiful artifacts that we can integrate into these projects. We can really kind of create these amazing worlds. And for me, we work on all sorts of projects, some in the countryside, some in towns, some on lakes, some in, I guess sort of mountainous environments. But I think for us, like from a creative point of view, being able to lean into a narrative and get immersed in a project. I mean, you can create some amazing spaces that, become people's homes and they just absolutely love. And that's what makes us tick. Well, welcome to the kitchen, which is kind of part of it's the hub. We spend a lot of time, me and Jarrett and Wolfie are massive foodies, so we're always in here eating. One of the things that like really pulled me into the house was the kitchen. I mean, it's difficult to explain, but like the weather comes down the valley through here, and you almost feel like you're in this kind of ship's galley. It's like so cozy when the weather's outside, when the weather's kind of going, it rains a lot down in Devon. And the minute I walked into this kitchen, I absolutely loved it. And I loved the old guy that lived here was a carpenter and an engineer, and he made these cabinets. Yeah, tried to keep everything as original as possible in this kitchen. Obviously, he did the most amazing job with all this cabinetry. There was some timber tops that were quite badly damaged, so I put a bluestone top with a chiselled edge, which is something we do a lot, which I love. I put a centre light over the table. That's not very centred anymore because we had to get a bigger fridge and a smaller table since having the little one. But yeah, the Aga has been here forever. I mean, it's like I had an agent come and have a look at the house who grew up here, and it was here when she was growing up. So it's like, it must be 20, 30 years old, and it's so reliable and brilliant. I put a new 40mm Carrera top around the sink and some new like reclaimed bib taps that I bought. I love bib taps. And I found these extra large ones, which I had to get, but they're just beautiful. I had them reconditioned. They're really cool. So yeah, new top. That's the old Crare, which is wicked. It's like really battered, and it's got these tiled shelves, which I love. I put a brass splashback behind the Aga to add a bit of detail. But it had all these amazing hooks for hanging stuff. And yeah, it's small, but it's super functional. And like being able to cook on the Aga, it's so nice. And we have it on all year round. A lot of people turn their Agas off in the summer, but we just keep it on low and use it. And if it's really nice weather, we want to cook breakfast and we go up to the top kitchen, we sometimes cook up there. But yeah, the ceilings in the house were just like literally, I'm 6'5" and I have to duck in a lot of places. But a lot of the houses that I looked at with this kind of character all had low ceilings, so it was a bit of a trade-off. But I'm fine. It's my friends that are just about tall enough that always hit their head. I'm so used to ducking. I'm good now. I put this shelving in for a bit of extra storage and a little cutlery drawer, and we keep all of our Yetis and all of our stuff for outside down here. These screens are incredible. These are in the property. These are listed, and they just add so much lovely detail. There's lots of things that I love. Like, I mean, we've got a normal kettle, but I love putting a proper kettle on. It's so nice to do, and making pots of tea. And like, that's the whole thing for me here, is just like slowing down a bit. We always put a tablecloth on when we eat. We always light candles. I love listening to the radio when I'm down here. It's great. We've got a good coffee machine because I love coffee, and there's not many flat whites found locally. So yeah, that's it. But so really it was, I took the canvas and respected everything and kept as much of it as I could, because I just love the vibe of it. And I've repainted it a slightly different shade to it was originally. Yeah, this gate was on the house originally. I mean, I don't know what it was used for, but it's super handy when you've got a little 2-year-old that wants to get through every single doorway, and also 2 dogs when you've been out for a walk. So we keep it. Well, actually, Wolfie can now open it because he's getting very clever. But it's great. It's kind of cool. It's one of those old things that was here, and we left, and it's fantastic. This room's like the middle living room. It's a great room in the winter and at night. We've got another living room here. It's got a massive log burner that literally heats the entire house. It's got this massive old sort of nook of a fireplace. And yeah, I love it. We sit in here, we hang out. Sometimes when we've got friends, we'll sit in here and have a drink. We've got a small little TV, like a little Samsung Art TV, which are great. And, when it's a wintry evening and we're watching a series or just hanging out, fire on, it's just a really cool place to be. It's got these amazing original screens. Some of my favourite old artwork. I've had this piece of artwork for a long time. It's by a British artist, and it's been with me everywhere. The scale of this house is quite tricky because I've got some quite big pieces, and I've got a lot of stuff that I have to keep up at the office because it's just too big to put anywhere. But that's really cool. Sofa is an old antique sofa that I bought and had recovered. Corduroy, like, I wear a lot of a brand called Maharishi, and I actually bought some of their blankets that they were just like throws to make the sofa cushions out of, because I just love the pattern, and I've got some of their cushions. So this is all custom made out of Maharishi stuff, and it's got some ticking. This is a great stool. This is our West stool that is one of our products, and it's just lovely. It's a great little stool to stick in boot rooms and just stick your feet up on. Like here, the sitting in here is quite tricky, especially now we've had Wolfie. Like, we need to it's great to be able to like push stuff over a bit and he can have a little run around. I've got this. I was really lucky to buy stuff off a really cool kind of folk artist called Martin Scory, and this is one of the bits of his that I kept. It's just a really nice hand painted pike. I love all the the fish related stuff. This is really cool. It's like an old bee's keep that I've used as a side table. You don't see them that often, but it's a lovely thing, and like quite fitting for here. Yeah, I bought that I was looking for something I needed something quite long. I bought that, and I had the top repainted, and it's a cool little bamboo chest. The artwork, little hardware sign that was made by one of the artists that is really talented that works with us at Studio Ham. Did that for me, the same as the One Shot Gang. It's like an old school folk sign that. It's not gang related, don't worry. But yeah, and again, like watercolour of a trout. This is an artist called Mick Manning that I buy. He does some really cool stuff. So I've got lots of his bits. Cool little toy ball that I bought for Wolfie. Little decoy pigeon. This guy's called the Tiddler. It's the little guy holding a trout. And then like a carved bison and just stuff that I've just picked up. And I love these just like little things. These like little incense things, but they're just cool. Little cabin. They're just good fun. This one, the chimney smokes when you put something in it. And yeah, again, just like cool like striped fabrics. This is one of our studio ham lights in like I think it's drab green. And yeah, always a fireplace full of fire. Some antlers I've had for a while. A few bits from, like, again, when I'm travelling. My interior changes quite a lot sometimes. Like this room used to be dark green, and we then painted it setting plaster because we were spending more time in here since we had Wolfie. So like it's always changing. I bought this from a place up in the Catskills and a frisbee, and I just think it's fun to chuck up. I love stuff like oars, hand painted. Paddles are just, it's such a nice thing because again, it's something you use in the outdoors, but it's also got that it's got a decorative element to it, which I just think is super cool. Using stuff like that inside. I mean, I've got an axe. I'm not crazy. It's just to split kindling for when I make a fire. That I bought for Wolfie, Mr. Fox. He loves that. The doors were original, so I've kept those, but I like scumble painted them. A guy that works with us who's really talented came up and just gave like a little bit of detail to them, which is really nice. And again, I love plants. I've had this terrarium for ages and it's done so well. And it's just so nice to like have that kind of framing the outside, and the same with the money tree or the money plant. This is like a sort of an Irish like kennel dresser. It's got such beautiful detail and the colour's so cool. I don't really drink anymore. I have like the odd whiskey like every now and then, and it's just a lovely place to like have, I've got some great whiskies from places I've been in Scotland. Just cool little bits that I've collected. This is for water for the whiskies, a little pirate kind of motif on. My friend made me that, a little cabin with a cross on it. It's just stuff that I've just collected forever. This is a beautiful decanter that I bought at Shepton Manor Flea Market about 15 years ago. And again, just cool stuff like these guys. I just saw them. I just love them. They're just so cool and they're just fun. Okay, and those two in like a little tree. Yeah, so it's just bits that I'm just constantly collecting, and I love these. Like these are little hunting cups. They're like they're silver. They're beautiful. The detail on them is amazing. They're quite, they're collectible, these things, but they're just really nice. But just something they've just got a vibe about them that I just love. They're old, they're handmade, people get together in the countryside and then have a drink out of them, and it's just, all that stuff for me just evokes, a vibe. Got a private property, no fishing sign, obviously. This guy's called Lord Barry. I've had him forever. He was painted by one of the artists that worked for us as a present. He's like a crazy, like thin-necked cowboy, but I love him. And he was named Lord Barry. Hunting weather vane, an old goose decoy that I've had forever. Cool dog portrait from a British artist, which I love. And a few other things like this. I bought this old pharmacy sign during lockdown, and I had this. I had a Neil made that said "Sick of Life" for a bit of fun because everyone was obviously sort of stuck in. So that's a bit of fun. And then, sometimes if I've got a bit of work to do at home or some bills to do, I like to sit here. And I've had this chair forever. It was like an old French chair that I had kind of reupholstered. I think it's French. And I had it limed and reupholstered, just like quite kind of basic. So you see the whole form of it. But it's just stuff like that, just really nice. It's like very organic. It's what I love. I love collecting killums because I just think, I'm always buying killums and throwing them down. And it just adds a great... they're practical because they help save the floor. And it just adds that bit of colour and, different kind of textile. Well, I'd say like log baskets, like nothing says home more for me than like a basket full of logs. And like they have to always be full, and I'm happy because I just, I love it. And again, I just think it's an organic material that's in your home. It obviously keeps you warm. But this is an old grape pod or champagne, basket. And they're just beautiful. Like, even the baskets, I love stuff like that because they were handmade. You don't really get stuff like that anymore. And they were, they were utilitarian use. And stuff like that I just think adds loads of detail. They've always got these little hand painted bits on, but they're great log bins. So yeah, any excuse. I've got this old rusty log bin that my friend of mine, Mimi, gave me, which is from Somerset, like a glazed pot, this kind of mesh basket. It's just cool. I just love all these bits. I think like one of the coolest things about this house is like all the old features, because, and you'll see it when you walk around, it's so authentic and it adds such a rich kind of, it's such an amazing addition to all the other stuff that's in there. That's one of my favourite things. One of my, like, it's really cool because when you're outside and you come in, they're two different worlds. But whenever you're in one or the other, you're always thinking about, you know, coming back into the house. Like if we've had a lovely day out in the garden, or we've been out playing with Wolfie out in the garden, and you know we come in and it's a chilly evening and put the fire on. You know, it's such an enchanting kind of welcoming place, the whole thing. And the outside is interesting because the house isn't huge, but there's so many little pockets to kind of go and spend time in, and so much space around it. You've got, you know, the outside is really, I guess, important to this house. And in a lot of houses I've had before, the outside spaces haven't really contributed to the level that this, I guess, to the level that these outside spaces do. So I don't know if that makes sense. So we're in kind of like the snug, the lounge. It's an epic room, this. It's got a beautiful fireplace. When I bought it, it had these beautiful Delft tiles that are listed around the fireplace. I painted the whole room over in blue by Farrow & Ball. Kind of picked up the hues from the tiles as a kind of starting point. It just works so well. It's such a like earthy, nice kind of blue. It's a really nice kind of colour from the, you know, an inside colour that kind of brings in stuff from the outside. When I did this scheme, I had some stuff in mind. I really wanted to link the blue back to the tiles. I really wanted to, this is a mulberry stripe on the sofa, I really want to use that. I had this amazing chair that I'll show you in a minute, which is like a massive, it's a Howl, like oversized chair that is wicked because you can sit on it with the dogs. You know, me and Jarrah hang out on it with Wolfie. It's just like, it's an oversized chair. We love books, and everywhere we travel, we pick books up. So, you know, if I'm up in Scotland, you know, every place we go, I'll buy books, you know, or if we're traveling anywhere. So we needed a little bookcase. So we put this, there's this cool little sort of area here. So I put this bookcase in, which is great. And it's been, you know, it's fantastic because you can kind of go and grab a book, sit down, recipes, plan trips. I've got loads of stuff about road trips and places to stay and cool stuff. And it's just like a really cool place to grab a book and just slow down and hang out, light the fire, get some candles on. And it's also super cozy for watching films. There's a great view from the big chair up the valley. Yeah. And there's just like a little nook here. Got a dog that's trying to get in here. We'll let her in because she's get lost. There you go. That's Boo. And again, it's cool. We're always moving the books around and grabbing stuff. So yeah, it works really well. And it sort of creates quite a cool little spot to hang out. We sometimes bring a chair up into that corner so we can chill. But yeah, like the main room's beautiful. I've had this fishing trophy for a long time. It's a really lovely one. It's quite unique. It's quite big, and it just fitted perfectly. And that was like one of the anchors when I was doing the scheme, which I love. And then lovely old light. This is another piece of art, which is geese flying over an area in Scotland, and an old OS map, which is from an artist that I buy stuff off called Mick. These are Ralph Lauren cushions, mulberry stripe. This is a really cool reclaimed stool that I found. It's kind of falling apart a bit, but I love it. It's one of those things that just kind of was perfect for it. I was looking for something at the time. Got one of our studio home rugs in here, which I love. But yeah, it's a great room to hang out in. The dogs are always on a sofa somewhere here. Watch out, Boo. This chair's cool because I'm huge, and it's nice to have like a big chair. It was from a company called Howl, and I bought it not through them. I found it through someone. So I had it recovered. It's falling apart a bit, but yeah, I love it, and it's just such a nice place here. Feet up, hanging out. You've got a lovely view of the outside. These windows open. I'm always close to plants wherever I am, which I love. And yeah, there's an art TV on the wall, which is a nice way to have something with a picture on. A great oil painting of a Jack Russell, which I love. It's a bit wonky, I think. I need to straighten that up. But But yeah, it's just there's a lot of elements coming together in this room, which, you know, it worked really well. And there's some quite kind of old art, there's some old things, there's some modern stuff. It's a great mix. I've bought these tables, which are like these kind of, not like faux bois, but they're just like really primitive, just kind of stick tables, which kind of side tables, which I love. But again, they just fit so well in the space. It's difficult to like these spaces that are like so it's like good on the eye, and they're also low ceilings, so you don't want to put too much. I mean, I've used a mixture of, this is a Belgian company that we use, like wall lights to down light, and there's some kind of these little Jim Lawrence adjustable spots, which are quite cool because you can just direction the light at certain areas. I love using, on the joinery, we've got Vaughan Rise and Fall Oban lights, and they're lovely because you can move them up and down. You've got some fabric materiality. There's a nice lamp that we turn on. So yeah, I mean, most of the time, I mean, there's a centre light in the other room, but we don't really turn it on because we love like low level. We love just like low key lighting, picking up little pops of colour or pictures. But again, it's crazy, especially in the winter. The mood here is just, it's mad. You know, you've got the fires going, you've got candles going. It's a real kind of like bunker down situation. It's so lovely, and the lighting really plays into that. And I've got everything on a system that's dimmable, so we really play with the light in here. So yeah, I think it's great to have a house where every room's got a certain thing happening in it, and we use every inch of this house for different stuff. And it's so nice to be able to do that. I mean, look, the house isn't massive, so we don't have like 10 spare rooms, but it's really cool. And everything's been created with something in mind, like doing stuff, whether it's, you know, big chairs to hang out with each other or the dogs. It's libraries for the books. It's artwork. It's just, everything's been kind of thought of as to how we live, and it is really interesting, you know. And you live like in a bit of a, you know, it's not a big open plan house. You live in a really nice old school way here, where we sit down and have dinner every night together. You know, then we go in and once Wolfie goes to bed, me and Gerald cuddle and hang out on the sofa, and it's just really nice. It really is the house works really well, and it's a serious vibe, the place, like, to be in. It's super nice. I use little stuff like this. Is like this kind of, you know, I've got, this is, I think it's Mevel and Moon, which is like a really cool like safari outfitter. They do like portable furniture. You can take like out with you out in the field, basically. I love stuff like this because it's just really cool. Like it's got lovely detailing, lovely straps. It all folds up. I quite like having stuff like this inside. We put the TV controllers in here. And just stuff like that that's a bit unexpected, which is, again, a kind of a utilitarian piece of furniture that is nice to bring inside. So yeah. But again, more logs, cool old log baskets, nice old chairs. This is a great little dresser, chest of drawers that I found. It's like just the right scale. It's exactly, I put like a mood board together for this as I was buying it. It was a really hard house to buy. It's quite a complicated purchase. And I kind of created this mood board for the whole house to like really engage me in this whole thing. And I had I had an Irish dresser on it. I had a chest of drawers just like that. I had lots of dog artwork, and I kind of created this like mood board of the house. So when it was, I'd got so, what the right word is, but it made me more committed to the whole thing. I kind of had this whole vision and I kind of saw it through. And even when it was really difficult, the purchasing, and it nearly didn't happen. And yeah, it was cool. But literally, I sat down over the course of a few weeks and just built this like mood board for the whole house. And it's crazy how similar it is to how it looks. At work, I do a lot of new projects or a lot of big refurbs and a lot of houses where we're putting all of this stuff back into it. And it's really cool to work with houses that have got all these beautiful things already there, because it's amazing. You know, we're trying to recreate this the whole time when you're doing new projects or building new homes or doing big restorations. So like having these old buildings that have kind of got this type of architecture, it's amazing. It's really cool. I love it. One of the things that surprised me when I came to view the house was it had this like stone built spiral staircase. It's like the back part of the house, which I'd looked at quite a few houses and they didn't, you know, a lot of them didn't have this, and a lot of these cottages, they have like quite small staircases. Although it's like a small opening, it's really beautiful. And the guy that lived here before hand bent and made all of this lovely handrail in one of the barns, so it's quite cool. But yeah, if you come up, it's a really cool little vibe up here. Got these big deep sills because it's the structure of the building. You've got these huge thick stone walls. And again, for me, it's like another opportunity to fill it with just cool stuff. This guy's a Belgian scholar, a plaster cast of a Belgian scholar bust that I bought. But I kind of put a little bandana on him, like trying to make him like maybe a bit more, maybe like Highwayman-esque or something. It's quite cool. And just little things that I've bought, like little jockey bin that I made a planter. We get power cuts up here quite a lot, so there's always candles everywhere. This is an old, I don't know what it is, it's some kind of decorative kind of plaque that my sister bought me, which I love. But again, there's lots of cool paintings. This is an Australian artist that I've got loads of his artwork. And again, like a big mix of quite fun stuff. He's quite a funny chap. A few portraits. Nice little painting of a stag. Yeah, and again, just like old things that I've collected. Quite like hanging textiles on walls where I can. Like that's just a cool like killing runner that I bought, which filled a space. It's like a little gallery you walk up through. Yeah, this is like the upstairs kind of hallway. Again, I've got like loads of art that I've had for ages. I think this is a painting from Somerset that I've had for like 12 years. I bought it in a junk shop in Somerton. This is a kind of a folky guy that I've got 2 bits of art. It's really cool. This is an old waxed decoy that they used to put out in fields. And I framed that. Kind of cool folky flags. Yeah, bathrooms. The bathroom's a cool space. This is I love this space. It's a really like calm. It's over on blue like the living room. Blue stone floors. This is our arrow stitch wallpaper from Studio Ham. It's got really beautiful views out into the garden actually, but we kind of keep that across. Little blue ticking curtains. This is a country house rad that I bought that was leaking, that's been fixed at great expense. I've got 2 of them and I put that in there, which is lovely. Yeah, the bathroom's really cool. It works really well. I designed this kind of detail on the bath panel and on the vanity, and it's a product that we now sell. And it's just kind of, again, it's that picking up on that kind of trade blanket, that kind of detail. But it's lovely. It's kind of quite subtle. The showers works really well. It's great. Kind of behind this curtain, this is a mulberry stripe, one of my favourite fabrics. And again, it's playing with the blues quite a lot, but there's lots of different colours, and I think it really works. Behind here is a glass shower screen, so if you're bathing, you can push all that back. We bath our little man in here, which is great, and yeah, it's really nice. Waterworks fittings, Carrara marble, but it's lovely because kind of I've always struggled with looking into kind of like half bath, half showers. So it's a great idea that just keeps it tucked away, but adds like a really lovely textile to it. Yeah, lovely little things like a nice little upholstered stool that we bought from a little vintage shop and had it upholstered. It's really nice to sit on, add some fabric, little runner in here, and then the same kind of ticking on the back of the door. Nice to have a glass door because it kind of gives you a bit of a suggestion there's something past it. Antique mirror I've had for ages, which fitted perfectly in here, and then some nice wall lights. Yeah, this was really nice. This is an antique that I found that I love, like having a freestanding cabinet or like a wall cabinet in a bathroom is like super nice. I love it. Me and Jara love soaps, and we always buy soap wherever we go. And like when you open this, it smells amazing. And again, it's like one of those things that you kind of come home and it's just something that I love. And we keep like nice stuff in there, and my aftershaves and some of Jara's bits. But it's just that mix of it's getting that balance right. There's lots of projects you have to do that are like quite new because they're you're creating new spaces, and it's like these little details that just give it. That play with it a little bit, like the reclaimed towel rad and little elements that just soften it and just give it that kind of vibe. Yeah, well, this is Wolfie's room, our little boy. I mean, kids' rooms are interesting, aren't they? We wanted, like, me and Jara put this together, and we wanted to kind of fill it with stuff that, you know, is kind of timeless. So we're not, you know, it could grow with him, but just some cool things that he could pick up on. And it's like really interesting. Like, Wolfie's our first, and it's amazing how much he loves all the art that we've put on the walls. I mean, you know, we've got every morning, it's like moo, you know, it's the moo. He thinks this is me. I got these cool bits of art from one of my friends, Bella, and I bought them through her. And he points, that's Dada, which, I mean, he thinks I'm a strong man. I like it. It's kind of fun. But he loves bears, and he goes bear, you know. He loves milk, so we put him a little milk print. It's try like surround him with stuff that kind of, you know, that he loves as well, because he loves all this stuff. This is an oil painting of Margot, which is Jara's dog. And when Jara was moving down with me, as a present to her before she moved down, I sent her this painting. It's Margot she hadn't moved in at this point, so it was like how I imagine Margot in the valley. It's super sweet. And again, like some of the furniture, like this, I've had this for ages. It's like a primitive kind of bench with a cool like scumble on. One of my really good friends, Helena, who's Wolfie's godmother, made this for him, which is just amazing. It's camo, skull and crossbones. I mean, what's not to like? Yeah, and like we've got some old army boxes as toy chests. This is a sign that we had hand painted for here. One of our big rugs, because it's nice for the kids to play on. This is our arrow rug, and it works really well. He's got a really cool little teepee in the corner, which is really nice. And yeah, there's another little painting of a bear, which was given to us by Sammy, who's an artist, which is really cool. And yeah, it's just a little magical place. We put the ottoman in here because he likes to put all of his tractors and puts all of his stuff on there and plays. And then, you know, kids' beds are difficult. This is just something we bought off the peg and we painted in Farron Ball, and we put these little bits of fabric through. That's his bed. He sleeps really well now, which is great. Cool American flag. We had an old vintage American flag, so we put that there. We love it. Wolfie's going to go over to the States soon for a little visit, so that'll be cool. A few little bits of artwork. That's actually like a little wolf by Sophie Wake. That's Boo, that was painted for me by Eric Stefanski. And that's two bears hugging like a little Sophie Wake thing. But yeah, we painted it like a cool dark green colour. It's a little sofa for him. We read books to him on. Had these little shelves made out of some cheese board that I had. And one of our guys made a cool little bracket for it. These ducks I've had for ages, which are really cute, like just cast a nice silhouette. This was a great chest of drawers that we bought from a reclamation place not far from here, which just has got a great sort of patina, kind of goes with the whole vibe. Yeah, but it's just a really cool room. I had me and Jared had a lot of fun kind of putting it together and getting all the art all done, and yeah, it's beautiful. He loves it, and he backs on this little area to the left of the house here is where all the owls are. So at night you hear them hooting through the window. Actually, when Jared was down here pregnant with Wolfie, this was our room. It wasn't Wolfie's room, and she left the window open one night, and I was working overseas in Asia, and I got a call, and an owl had flown into the room and was sat on her headboard. It was a baby owl that had kind of got the directions wrong, and she ran out and called me, and I was like, well, I've got no idea what it could be, and she put the phone in and turned the light on, and there was a lovely little owl just sat on the end of her bed, and she just waited for it to fly out. But I mean, it's quite cool. This room was really cool. This is like one of the coziest rooms in the house, and me and Jara have always had a joke. She always wanted it for her room. It is obviously now Jara's room, because I say yes to Jara. But the cool thing about this room is it's got this like lovely ceiling detail, these little exposed beams. It had this amazing kind of built-in chest of drawers and wardrobe that's like been cobbled together from like various things, and it's super cool. It's one of the things that I look around the house and just thought, how authentic and how nice to like, you know, joinery's always hard in these houses, and like, you know, they've done it out of antiques basically, some old doors, a large chest of drawers, and maybe they've kind of run out of steam a bit here and done something a bit more. basic, but it's just really lovely. And again, like, it really anchors the room. Jara has kind of, you know, done this room herself. She's repainted it recently. She's stolen a few signs from other bedrooms. She loves this Bandit Country sign that was in our it was in our guest bedroom. She loves this Milan Gun Club, which is one of my favourite bits of art, which is by an Australian artist called Tedderuck. I've got some of his stuff. It's really nice, but it's cowboys, duck. I mean, it's just fun. This is one of our Studio Ham Harrison tables. These lights are cool. They're quite fun. They're from America, from a supplier. But yeah, big killing. I don't know where she found this flag from. It fits perfectly. She wanted to find something really cool. I got her. I got this as a present because Jara basically runs the show down here. So I got her an estate office sign for the bedroom, which she found very amusing with her initials on. We had one of our guys paint it. It's quite good fun. This is another Mick Manning, which is that's done on an envelope, which is a cool artist. And I bought that recently, which is quite good fun. A little portrait that she loved. Beware grizzly bears and harlots, life is wild, from an artist. From a gallery I buy some stuff off called Sailor's Jail, which is cool. Yeah, and Jara is mad on cooking and reading, so she's got all of her stuff here. Everything's just right. She's got everything that she needs. This is my room. Massive fish theme here, as you can see, which is no surprise, I'm sure, if you've been watching the rest of this video. Jara makes a joke that I'm swimming with the fishes, which I think is like a gang term for that you're going to get knocked off and chucked overboard. But yeah, again, it's that kind of earthy blues. You know, I love fish, so I've decided to fill it with fish style vibes. Cool map of Scotland, because I love Scotland. These are like old like military kind of chests for side tables, which are great because they're great for storage, but they're just a cool kind of, again, like a utilitarian piece of furniture that works and is good fun. Always have my radio. I love listening to classical FM and BBC Three. I find it really relaxing and fall to sleep most nights with it on. I love wearing caps, so I've got caps everywhere around this house. I've got a massive collection. I've got some more up there on hooks. Again, like, quite tricky to find stuff for this room. This was really cool. This kind of, I love the paint, like the finish on it. Found this wardrobe. It's not too deep. It was exactly the right size after ages searching. So that's great. And I have a few bits in there. Had this vanity custom made, which is one of our Malmo vanities with like a folky paint on that we do. With Waterworks tap and a Carrera marble top, which is really nice. It's so nice in these old houses where you've got like a sink in the room. Such like a nice thing to have. Even if you've got bathrooms, it's lovely to be able to like brush your teeth, or, you know, all the water here, we've got like a private water source and it's all like really well looked after and really well filtered, so you can drink. The water here is amazing. It's from its own spring. But yeah, just to fill up a cup of water. And I love that like old school thing of, they didn't have many bathrooms when this cottage was built, so they always had sinks in the room. And as opposed to getting rid of it, I decided to keep it because it's another nice object. It's got nice materiality. The brass. Got a little Vaughan rise and fall light there. It's one of my favourite lights, and we use it a lot at our practice. A Mick Manning eagle on a map of Scotland, which is over Perthshire, which I've spent a lot of time in, which is really cool. And lots of things I collected. This mirror, one of my best friends growing up, still is my best friend, is called Bill, and his mum, we used to stay there a lot when we were kids because we were at boarding school, and we went, and Mimi looked after us. And as time went on, we went to school in Somerset, and Mimi kept a cottage in Somerset. And for a long time, I mean, she kept that cottage, and I would visit her every weekend and go down there and hang out with her, even if Bill wasn't there. And she was an amazing, amazing woman. I got a lot of fond memories from there. And she moved back to Venice full time and gave up the cottage. We had lots of nice stuff, and it was so cool to be able to buy some of her stuff off her. Like, this is one of the mirrors that was in one of the rooms that I used to sleep in. So I've kind of grown up with that, and I was able to buy it off of her and have it in my room now, and it's like lovely stuff like that. These old tea and cheese boxes, and again, they're from Mimi. So yeah, it's just really nice. So there's lots of bits in here. It's something I've had for ages, which I love. It was in the bathroom, but we put the heated towel in. But it's nice to be able to have something in the bedroom to put your towel over. This is actually one of our products from Studio Home. It's a bamboo chest, which is really cool. So it works perfectly here. I bought these years ago, and like these 2 old fishermen's portraits, and I've kept them. I've had these fish little etchings for a long time. I had them in my house in London, and I've kept them for here. So it's grown little decoy ducks. Yeah, another little fern. Always got a book by my bedside. It's nice to read before bed sometimes. I'm not a big reader, but I quite like flicking through stuff. Old Swiss Army blankets, which are really cool. Such a nice thing. They're just like utilitarian. Really nice, not expensive. It's a lovely space to be in, and again, it's super cozy. The view up the valley is amazing, and like it's lovely to wake up to. I leave all the curtains open when I'm down here. I wake up with natural light. I love it. And sometimes you see all the deer coming down through the valley up here. But yeah, it's magical. Nice big just lovely curtains on a big pole. Just is super nice, just to add a bit of weight to the whole thing. And layering, yeah. Sisal carpet. Again, kind of striped headboard and like a cord, kind of rough like linen green valance. A possession that I've held on to for ages. I can't remember where I bought it. It's just beautiful. It's like on a half little log. It's hand carved and hand painted. Just a lovely thing. Yeah, that's one of my favourite things I've got actually. There's like little things that I've got that I absolutely love, and that's one of them. I mean, I think there's 2 things. I think families make a house a home. Being with people that you love is like one of the key things for me. It's, you know, that is it. I mean, you know, my house, I've got, you know, I live with my fiance, my little boy Wolfie. We're expecting another little boy. We've got our 2 dogs here. I think that's one part of it. Creating somewhere that gives you like respite from your day to day, somewhere that you look forward to coming back to, and somewhere where you can relax. And it's that kind of like safe haven that doesn't really matter how bad your day's been or, you know, what you've been doing. It's that kind of always looking forward to coming home and getting that feeling. That for me is what makes a home. And, you know, creating beautiful interiors and like calming environments, and, you know, creating spaces that are filled with beautiful things and layered and textured and warm, and, you know, that's part of it. And for me, like at home, you know, it's not, you know, I'm really into like the whole experience. When, you know, when I come home and I eat, I love having a tablecloth. I love having nice cutlery. You know, I love plates. I love hand soaps. I love scents. The house is full of candles, and it's like all these little touch points that kind of add up to creating this kind of experience that, you know, that for me really makes it. And it's just a lot of different things coming together. For me, I've created this whole world for myself, and it's not because I've tried to create it, it's because I genuinely love what I do. I love design, I always have done. I love everything that comes with it. Whether I'm doing it for myself or for clients, I just really deeply enjoy it. And, you know, hopefully you can see with my home that it's like an honest creation of who I am. But I'm super lucky to be able to do this, because doing something that you love, and, you know, having the skill set to actually go and deliver it is amazing. And, you know, one of the benefits of that is you get to create these beautiful spaces for you and your clients that are authentic and, you know, are a reflection of, you know, your clients or your own.
Hi, Homeworthy. Thank you so much for coming all this way to visit me here at my home in the Cotswolds. I'm Sarah Kirk, and this is our cottage. Come on in and I'll show you around.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Hi, I'm Sarah Kirk. I am a mother and a homemaker, and welcome to my home in the Cotswolds. My husband and I met in London, got married in the US, and had a decision to make: either move to the countryside to start our family or move to America for a few years. And we always agreed that when our children started school, primary school, reception, that we would relocate back to England. And we did. We followed through. When our oldest was ready to start school, we returned back and settled here in the Cotswolds. The original house is a period Cotswold stone cottage, but it's been built on twice, so it has 2 later additions in its history, and we're not really sure when those were. It has a very interesting, kind of bizarre floor plan because of the way it was designed over time. So there's lots of little dips where you have to duck your head and lots of little corners to go around, and some of the rooms are all joined up. So it's a very untraditional floor plan. Right, so this is the sitting room. This is the main living space in our home. This is where we mostly are. And yeah, it's a lovely room. This is from part of the old part of the home. It's got the fireplace with a wood-burning stove, which is always on in the warmer winter months. And yeah, there's just lots of little places to sit down, read a book, play Lego, drag your toys out, and play. This fireplace fender seat we got from Eddie's parents, and I had it upholstered, and this is a lovely place to just sit by the fire and perch in the winter time. The curtains I had made in this little ditzy floral print, which is really cottagey. The sofa I found for free on Facebook Marketplace, and it was old beat up Chesterfield, and I hauled it back home and had it reupholstered in this beautiful Warner House paisley, which is just so comfortable now to sit. The painting we bought in Savannah, Georgia at an antique shop there. It was just kind of in a corner up against a wall, and I just loved the pinks and kind of greens in it, blues. A very sentimental piece that we've had for a long time. This table is a recent auction find that I just brought in really a couple months ago, and it's got this beautiful scallop design, but it's a great place. I like having lots of little tables. Just you can move them about, you can put things, set your drinks down on them. There's a lot in this room I'll show you. This table is actually just an old garden table. It's really rusty. It has a hole in the middle where you could put an umbrella, but I just usually cover it up with something. But I love it. I have this in here. The shelves were here. I painted a contrasting trim, but this was here just like it is, and I styled it with some old dried hydrangeas and an old, I believe it's a tobacco jar from, I think I got it in Williamsburg, Virginia. We lived in Virginia for a while, so I love having that out. And then the bust, I can't remember who it is. I think it's Diana. And yeah, just some little bits and pieces, candles, things. The chair is another auction find. It was actually just upholstered like this, and I just love the check so much. I'm just going to leave it as it is, even though it's a little frayed. I love that. The rug is this beautiful jute rug by Bertie Fortescue, and it's just a lovely design, really light, but hard wearing, nice to have in a family home, great for a cottage. I put lots of plates on the wall. There's quite a few in here. These are just some old blue and whites. They're a little bit stained. They have that beautiful patina, which I love. I also have some plates over on this wall. These are like a more brown pattern, and I just love how they go together. This is a beautiful silk lampshade by Chloe Johansson, and it's made from, I believe, like sari silk, and it's put in that gathered shade. Really beautiful. This is an old chest of drawers that I bought at auction, and I love the old brass hardware on it and the beautiful inlay. I mean, it's definitely seen better days, but I like things that are a bit worn. So the sofa is another thrifted piece that I got from an estate sale, and I just love the pink and white stripes. And I've just thrown on some cushions, an old American quilt. The cushions are made with an old Swiss Kelch fabric in this beautiful check and this beautiful stripe. And yeah, it's just, I'm changing cushions all the time, but I love these. This is an old kind of oval shaped coffee table. I have it styled with this rattan tray with a beautiful scalloped edge from a shop. She does these beautiful trays called Petite Pannier. And yeah, it just has some books, candles, knickknacks, things like that. Yeah. The light fixtures are like an old schoolhouse style. I got these from Spark and Bell, and they just have that lovely milky glass and that schoolhouse shape, which is so distinctive. So this is beautiful old weathered corner cupboard, which I bought at auction without having measured it. And it is basically a perfect fit, which makes me think it was really meant to be. And I hope, you know, if we ever leave here, it will fit in the next house because it is perfect for this spot. This is a pair of chairs that I did that I reupholstered in this beautiful Warner House fabric and put these are some French plates from a local lady who has a shop called Say Two, and she imports all these old French antiquities. So she's got a barn full of French finds. I tend to try and do more British, but my husband is half French, so we do have little French bits around. The table, which I'm using as a table, is actually an old baker's tray, and it would have been mahogany, I believe, but it's just been left outside for probably years, and I'm just using that as a little side table. And then the brass horse, it could have been a trophy, but I got this in Virginia. Very horsey there, and also fits in quite well here. This is a beautiful riverside landscape with the beautiful towpath alongside it, which reminds me of scenes close to where I grew up. This old pine cupboard, I think it was a baker's cupboard, where, but it could have been a larder or a kitchen cupboard. I love this beautiful old weathered pine, and I just fill it up with quilts and photo albums and games and puzzles and things you'd have here in the sitting room. Okay, so right next door is the dining room if you'd like to come have a look. Okay, so this is the dining room. And I guess the first thing to say is that it's papered in this beautiful trellis pattern, which is blue and green combination, which I really love. And this is an old painting of one of my husband's French ancestors, and she looks very pious and reflective there, and I kind of think of her saying her prayers, and I just think this is a lovely piece for a dining room where you give thanks and say grace before a meal. And this is where, you know, we have our dining table, which is basically just an old trestle table, which is on old cast iron trestles. And it's got these really neat bentwood bistro chairs, which we got from my husband's parents, which was really nice. And this beautiful tablecloth is by Sarah Kay Designs, not me, Sarah Kay, but another very talented lady who does all kinds of nice homewares. I've done the curtains in a beautiful block print design by a British lady called Julia Brendel, and just love that pattern. This painting is another find that we picked up in Savannah, and I actually just bought it off a guy who was selling it. It's one of his grandmother's paintings. So I just thought it was such a beautiful still life. I just love it. This is just a low boy table that we've had over the years. It just seemed like a nice spot for it. And it's very battered and old, but very much beloved. No, I don't think I even knew that I was buying these. I think I was buying something at auction and it came in a lot of other things. And I think it was like a platter or something I was getting. And these happened to, I had bought these without knowing, and I felt like they needed a home somewhere. So I just put them here in the dining room, and they oversee all the festivities. The built-ins were here, and it was naturally just a lovely home for all of our crystal and for all the mismatched plates. I love using old blue and white or old green and white transferware or lusterware plates, and just have a mismatch. So it's just all stacked up there, leaning over to the side. So yeah, and then I love taxidermy, but my husband hates it, so it has to be really hidden away in here because we don't want to frighten anyone with it. This old oak painting is actually painted by a relative of my husband's, and it's just such a beautiful natural forest scene, which is really lovely. And this is like an old plan chest, or, you know, where an architect, or, you know, would have their plans, or sort of surveyor. And it's basically where I keep all of my children's artwork because I just can't throw it away. So a lot of it gets hung up, but a lot of it just goes in these old drawers. And I literally have drawers and drawers of my kids' artwork in here, which is cute. This is just an old chair. We've had this as long as we've been together, and I just can't get rid of it. So I just keep moving it around, and it just goes from room to room, and there's always a spot for it. We always find a spot for it. Yeah, this is a little pair of lamps, very old, but yeah, they've got the pretty little gingham shade. So this pendant made with this beautiful linen striped shade was the first thing that I bought for the whole dining room. I just knew I wanted a dining table with this over it. And then everything else just came later, and there wasn't really any plan. But this was the one piece that I just love so much in this room. The rug was a gift from my in-laws, from my husband's family, and it just suits this room perfectly. This cupboard is an old schoolhouse cupboard, and it weighs about 1,000,000 pounds, and it's impossible to move, and it's all one piece. And it's where I have all the tablecloths and linens and little bits hidden away. But I just love this old schoolhouse cupboard. These are really funny pair of lamps with these adorable little cherub figures here, climbing up what looks like a fruit tree with a ladder, and then these beautiful scalloped linen shades I put on them. And yeah, they're quite fun in here. So these are just, you know, I can't go into a charity shop and not buy, you know, an old platter if I see one, and I've just got them lying around in stacks. I mean, some of them could go on the walls somewhere maybe, or, you know, if we're having a dinner party or we're serving, well, I can just take my pick. I have so many. But yeah, they're just stacked up here for the moment. So this is the little sunroom. It's a tiny little room, but has great big personality. This is an old dresser, pine dresser, again with the old brass, which I just love, and more of the ironstone collection up there. The rug is a beautiful rug, beautiful scallop jute rug from Tate and Darby. Beautiful. She sources lots of beautiful natural rugs, natural fiber rugs. Here on the wall is some of my ironstone again. This old butcher's block is it's an old French butcher's block, which my in-laws used to use when they were first married as their little kitchen table. They, believe it or not, they sat at this. So it's got a very sweet history, and it's just a beautiful rustic old piece. The curtains in here are this beautiful kind of Indian-inspired block print, which was designed by Sophia Francis Studio. These iron curtain rods with the little iron finial, curved finial, are from Nigel Tyas. They're all handmade. They're so beautiful and so perfect for this cottage. One of my very favorite things about this house is the beautiful views. And if you look across the garden out over the hedge, is the most wonderful view of the Cotswold countryside. And it is just a constant inspiration to all of us here at our home. If you'd like to follow me, I'd like to show you in my kitchen. Here we are in our cottage kitchen. So let me tell you, this is not my dream kitchen. However, when we moved in, I didn't really see the sense in tearing out cupboards and tearing out floors. And I just decided to make the most of what was already here, just maybe adding a little bit more warmth and character. And the first thing that I did is I changed the hardware to like a antique or a brass knobs and pulls, and I think that gives it some warmth in here. I added like a cafe curtain, and obviously I've got lots of plants and things, wood tones. I added some cupboards that are freestanding, old vintage cupboards, and I also like little lamps, and just tried to make it a little bit more characterful. I love to bake. I'm always baking with the kids, making muffins or cakes or cookies. And my husband is more of the meat and potatoes chef, but we do share kitchen duties. I added this border. Instead of painting, I love a white kitchen, but I did add this border in here. And we hung some freestanding cabinets or the plate rack just to give it a little bit more warmth. I found this table from a vintage reseller who has a shop locally to me, and it's perfect. I mean, we cram around it, but it's nice, and it's a lovely place to have our meals. I added the porcelain light fixture, and yeah, this is a garland of hens, bantam hens. So I love the warm wood tones. I added this glazed cupboard, and it's just freestanding, but it gives some extra storage without looking too fitted. I collect a lot of ironstone, which is kind of these pieces here, and they get kind of aged over time, and they have this darkening spots on them, and I just think they look really lovely. So I do have those all around the house. Okay, and this is the laundry room, which joins through from the kitchen, and this is where all the work gets done, where I, wash stains constantly out of clothes and do the laundry, hang things up to dry, and then it's where the pantry is and the refrigerator. So it's just kind of the working heart of the kitchen, the downstairs. Okay, and this is the boot room or mud room, which I did a really fun wallpaper in here. And this is where we just come in, throw our shoes in the basket, In the wintertime, it's very cluttered with coats and raincoats, but this time of year, it's just hats, picnic blankets, and, you know, the brushes and things that we use around the house. This is an old telephone bench. It used to have like a little table on it, but I took that off, and this is where you would sit on the telephone and make your calls back in the day. So now it's just a place where the kids can sit down and take their shoes on and off, and yeah, it's usually piled up with things. Okay, so we're gonna head upstairs. Let me show you. Come on up. These two old crests were from the coronation of Pope Pius in 1854, and they were hung up in an old French village hall to commemorate him becoming Pope. And I found these in a local antique store and just thought they were really beautiful, so they're hanging there. I was talking about that funny design, and some of the rooms are all joined up. Two of my children's rooms are connecting, so I'll take you through and you can see those. This is my daughter Daisy's room. She's the only girl in the house, so it's very feminine and floral. I love this wallpaper by Sophia Harpley. This is my daughter's bed. It has this beautiful linen canopy and this pink and green gingham. She has these lovely bed linens. The duvet cover is in this beautiful green leafy print by Sarah Kay Designs, and she has the little gingham pillowcase embroidered with her name, and that's from a local maker here in the UK, Chateau Matilda. And this is her dollhouse. Inside, it's the little mouse house. Instead of little dolls, they're little mice living in here, and it's really cute. This beautiful chest is just a very weathered piece that we brought over. I bought it in Luckett's, Virginia at the Luckett store. One of my all-time favorite places to find antiques in Virginia. The bobbin spool shelf is an old vintage shelf that I sourced from a lovely lady who does all the vintage fairs here, and I got this from her. This lovely little chair, this tiny child-size chair, button-back chair, is in a Jasper print, which is really pretty, and it's a great little child-size vintage chair. The window treatments are in this billowy balloon-style Ramen shade in this beautiful Warner House Acorns fabric. So my daughter's room connects into my son's room, which is great. It's really lovely. At night you can hear them talking to each other through their rooms as they fall asleep. This is an old pine cot. We call it a crib. Over here they call it a cot. It has a lovely little canopy by Tori Murphy Textiles in this wide, beautiful stripe with the little pom-poms. Over the bed are these little Viking ships, which are really sweet. And they dance around. The chest of drawers is just an old painted chest of drawers. This print is from a local artist here. Her name's Tabby Booth. I love the cowboy boots. All my boys love wearing cowboy boots, so this is such a sweet, nostalgic picture to have in their room. The bookshelf we've had this since our eldest was little. It's by Oof in New York City. They do these amazing modular shelves. You can just fill it full of books. The little lantern here is by a company in the Netherlands, and the lantern, you can switch out the scenes. And they have so many beautiful artists. You can change it with the seasons to reflect, you know, different scenes of childhood. Some that are really sweet and remind me of where we live here in the English countryside. This is an old vintage sign where someone who was doing script, it's an old French sign. I drove all the way to the coast to pick it up for £15, and then I spent unknowingly an insane amount to frame it in this old frame. But it's just a lovely touch in the boys' room. So the guest room is over here on the other side, kind of tucked away. So follow me around the corner. So this is the guest room, and I bought these beds in America, old cherry beds with the little finials, 4-poster finials. I painted them myself because they were kind of in bad condition. They were quite old, and I just love them, and I think they're charming in a cottage guest bedroom. I always think my guests like sleeping like Ricky and Lucy from I Love Lucy, and they're 2 separate beds, but I just think they're really charming in these beautiful cottagey floral prints. All of the bedding is from a company called Soulful, and they just do lovely, lovely linens. This old painting is from a vintage fair, and this cupboard is actually a pot cupboard. It's where you would store your heavy pots, but I'm using it as a old bedside table. The wallpaper is actually a Sandberg design, and they're actually, if you look closely, they're dandelions, but they've done them in this pink and blue colorway, which is really, really charming. And I love that it's paying homage to the simple, lowly dandelion. It looks really lovely in here, I think. And then the curtains I bought at a charity shop. They were, somebody didn't need them anymore, and I found them, and they work perfectly in this room. So, okay, the last room I'd like to show you is our bedroom, our main bedroom. So come with me and have a look. Okay, welcome into our bedroom. This is the main bedroom, the biggest bedroom. I never really have any design plan, and this room is really evidence of that. I really like mixing patterns and different textures, and I definitely don't match things, so it's very mismatched in here, which I really like. And I've done a wallpaper in kind of blues and brown. It's like a pomegranate theme, but then with the canopy I've gone with a heavier but striped floral in this cream with pinks and greens. The wallpaper in here really stumped me for a long time, and it was one of the last rooms that I wallpapered. I ended up just ordering a bunch of samples, and this one I never really thought would be the front runner, but it actually turned out being my favorite. So I do recommend looking at those samples in person, because you never know which one is going to pop out at you. And I'm really glad I went with this pattern. It's really bold but moody, and it's a perfect fit for this space. Just talking about mixing patterns and prints, I just really loved this paisley in a very kind of neutral color, with this paired with this ruffle top in a pinstripe from Tightly and Mar, and I just love the way it mixes together with the pattern in the wallpaper that we already have. Home to me means being with my family, and whether that's my husband and my children or my extended family when my parents and my brother come to visit and I have more of my family around me. Home is a place that should just be filled with love. Thank you so much, Homeworthy, for coming to visit me today. It's been so lovely having you. Unfortunately, my children are home from school now, so I really need to go and get those snack plates made. But thanks again, and come back anytime. Take care. Bye.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content, shopping guides, and so much more.